Hey listeners, let's take a moment today to thank one of our sponsors for today's show, and that sponsor is Ameribraid Grinders. Eric and Kevin over at Ameribraid have sold thousands of these grinders, and they are super nice guys, and their customer service is excellent. I would know. I've been personally using their 2x72 grinder now for 2 years, and it has changed my knife making to a whole new level. So if you're in the market for or looking to upgrade from that 1x30 or 2x42, then give Ameribraid a look. There you'll find they have 3 packages of grinders to offer. They have a mastery package, a foundations package, and a get grinding package, in which all of them come at different price points. So I'm sure you'll find something that'll suit your needs as a knife maker. Also, Ameribraid has a ton of innovative attachments for their grinders. So listeners, you can find out about all of this at www.ameribraid.com. Go give them a look, see what they have to offer today.
3, 2, 1, 0, 0.
You're listening to the Knives Templars.
Get ready, y'all. We about to Bobby Boucher you. Bam!
I got a piece off of the wagon that Sam Houston used to take JFK to the moon.
Pinto sauce. I like that. Pinto sauce.
Pinto sauce. You're tuned in to the Knives Templars podcast, featuring Odisir Special Sauce Pinto.
I was a mean kid.
Long time listener, first time caller.
Eric T.R.E. Rivers.
Holy crap, I built something.
Don the Train Watson.
I can pay off all my credit cards and beef jerky credit line at Bucket.
Joey the Riot Terrier.
Cochon de lait will make you smack your lips and anyone getting too close to your plate.
Mark the Sallow.
You drinking my soupy?
And Chip Shegman Carlisle. And now broadcasting alive, it's the Knives Templars. Coming to you live from Porkhouse Studios located in Hartselle, Alabama and other U.S. locations. This is the Knives Templars podcast. We are the coolest knife-making podcast on the planet, and we are downloaded around this big blue marble in over 24 countries. We are on air, on demand, and heard worldwide in all of your favorite apps and at knivestemplars.com. Hey guys, welcome to the Knives Templars. Here we are already at Season 4, Episode 34. Man, we've come a long way, have we not? Don?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Mark?
I sure have.
Yeah, we've come away.
Here?
Oh yeah, been going up.
And Jason Fry, our newest. I would call Jason a pseudo full-time Templar because anytime he wants to call in, he's got a chair at the table. There used to be 7 of us, so Jason, you want to come on every 2 weeks? I know you're a busy man, but you are more than welcome. More than welcome.
Well, thanks for the invite.
Oh, yeah. So welcome to Season 4, Episode 34. And we've got something exciting tonight. We're going to talk. This is going to be our Blade Show full buffet special, man. We've coming off of a wonderful week at Blade Show, and I'm already going through a little anxiety and depression because I know I've got 51 weeks left before I can experience all that's good in knives and blades again. So, it's good. It's good. It's good. So with that being said, hey, guys, one thing, Knives Templars, we are the best podcast out there. I'm tired of giving into other sites and saying there's a lot of good ones. There are a lot of good ones, but by gosh, we are the best. We are family friendly. Anybody can listen to us. Take us on a camping trip. Take us down the road. Listen at work. Listen wherever you are. And you don't have to worry about turning the volume down because you know what? We're talking about knives and having fun. And what we want to do is establish makers, whether you are a new maker, thinking about making, somewhere intermediate like me, or you are a guy that's advanced in your career like Jason Fry or Eric Rivers or some of the folks we met at Blade Show last week, and I'll drop some of those cool names later. We've got a place for everybody on this show because if you're grinding steel, my gosh, you're important. So thank you for your listenership and making us one of the best rising podcasts out there. Do this for me. I want you to subscribe. So on your podcast provider, if you can just go down and click that subscribe button so that you'll see us pop up every couple of weeks and you'll know there's a new 2 to 2.5 hours out there so we can take you through a week or so of listening to a half hour or the whole thing at once, and we're going to make it fun. Mark, have you been to the knivestemplars.com this week?
I don't know if this is probably the first week I
It's
haven't.
been
I came home from Blade Show, and I've been trying to catch up ever
I can
since.
tell you, I was working on our agenda today because I will tell you, I'm still coming to from Blade Show. And when I talk about me coming to, I mean, you and I and Eric are walking around with sore backs, and I was getting cramps in my legs at night from being up and not drinking enough water. I couldn't imagine being Jason Fry. How are you doing, Jason?
Oh, pretty good. I challenged my body and maybe my liver a little bit, and I got a cold when I came home, so I'm a little sluggish, but I'm recovering. It's all good.
Well, I can tell you, I was fortunate enough to stay in the same room with, or the same suite with Jason, and had the best of conversations. But also, and we may get into that tonight, but I tell you what, he's one heck of a nice guy. There's nothing that goes wrong at Blade Show, and I tell you what, he's an upstanding person. I'd camp out with you anywhere there, brother.
Well, thanks,
Hey,
buddy.
if you haven't been to Knives Templars, what I want to tell you is get your mark on the Knives Templars Nation. If you go in there and click on our link, Knives Templars Nation, what you are going to find is a place to put your maker's mark. And with that being said, just send me your website, your Instagram, or wherever you want people to find you at knivestemplars@yahoo.com. And let me know a little bit about who you are. And I'm going to put a photo up there as well as a link to your page, because you know what? There's so many knife makers out there. I haven't met a bad knife maker in the few years that I've been making knives, but I've never met a bad knife maker walking around Blade Show or anywhere else I've been. There's no ugly knife out there. And with that being said, I also want to switch into, if you're making knives, if you go out on knivestemplars.com, you will see Ameribraid.com, who has extended the Templars 100 savings through June the 30th, 23. And if you want to get a grinding package, they have 3 packages they offer. They're going to give you $100 off just by typing in simply Templars 100. So make sure you do that. Here's the cool thing. We've got Blade Show photos up on the page, and most of them are photos of me because I was just having a fun taking photos, and a special photo with somebody we'll talk about a little later in the show. But we're getting more and more uploaded every day, and if you go out there, you'll see some photos from the show. So it's really worth going out to knivestemplars.com and getting engaged with us. Last thing you can do is go to the Knives Templars podcast on Facebook, join up and chat with us every day, because everybody's got a voice. Otis here, you want to hear what's on the menu tonight?
Yeah, boss, let's go.
It's good to see you here, Otis here. Well, the menu tonight, we're going to have a couple things that are special tonight. We're going to have the brew review. And we've got a few brew reviews tonight based on what I've seen posted this last week. We are also going to have a little weird news this week. Not a lot going on in the knife making community. Of course, I saw Louisiana. They've got the Louisiana Guild. They've got their show coming up in September. But we got really not a lot going on unless somebody wants to talk about it. Of course, coming off a Blade Show, I mean, what are you going to do? How do you top that?
Yeah.
No, you got a little weird news tonight. We got some feedback. Mr. Michael Dawson's got something funny, and I can't wait to share that with you. Pop's Maker Mark series. We've got a great guest on tonight, another Forged in Fire great maker who I had the honor of meeting down in Georgia this week. His name's Mr. David McConnell with Northwoods Forge, and you know he's already sitting here in the background. David, lean on into that microphone, say hello to everybody.
How you guys doing?
All right.
Hey.
All right. You, man, you're the boxes, the things that you make to put your knives in are as beautiful as your knives, and your knives are gorgeous. We're going to talk about that later. I need to get into your head so you've already influenced me. Let's just put it that way. We also have a tips with Jason Fry, and how often do we have the opportunity to have live tips? So Jason's going to come on, and he is going to be reciting as we record the great tips from his book. I actually went out and bought a copy of his book this week, And it was signed, it says, Chip, thanks for including me in the Templars, you knucklehead. Jason Fry. And he got it right. He didn't know that I actually am a knucklehead. And I will tell you, this book, you guys interrupt me at any time. I'm on a roll. This book is the best thing on a toilet.
It's just the best knife making toilet book on the market.
I will tell you, there's two things. There's one thing I used to do. I used to sit and randomly open up the Bible. I still do that. Open up the Bible and see what the verse is for the day that God brings me to. The next thing I do once I study that, and I don't spend a lot of time in the throne, I open up Jason's book and boom, and here it is. I just did it right now, 232. When a buffer grabs a blade, when an edge cuts into a belt, when a mill breaks, or when a belt breaks during use, there is nothing you can do but duck and hope. You aren't strong enough or fast enough to make a difference. And I take that into my life every day because not only is this knife making, you think about it. When life grabs you by the blade, when life grabs you and cuts into you, when the mill bit breaks, when your hope is lost, and when a belt breaks during use, when you're just doing your best, there's nothing you can do but duck and hope. Don't ever lose hope. You aren't strong or fast enough to make a difference because we all need God in our lives, and that's who will. So I have found that reading through these, and I don't always associate them with my faith, but I will tell you, isn't it quite interesting? I read that one just flipping to it right now, and it took me right to my faith. Jason, you're an inspiration. This is a great book, and I will tell you, sitting on the throne every morning, that's my time of the day. I don't know, is yours of the afternoon or the evening or middle of the night. I'm telling you to go out and buy a copy of Blade Presents Knife Making Hacks, 384 Tips to Make Knives Like the Pros by Jason Fry. Even includes a beautiful picture of him on the back. And I want you to go to Jason's website and order this book because he gets a little bit more money for that, and also,
and I can send you an autographed copy that way.
And he can call you Knucklehead too. He's a lovely guy.
And you talk about big fish in a small pond, like the genre of knife making toilet books. Okay, yeah, I'm at the top of that. I'll take that.
Yes, you are. But I will be honest with you. I have been reading the book, and it's one of those things. It's kind of like a daily reader, and there's a whole year's plus, a year and a month or so's worth of reading here if you just read one every day. And I will tell you, I've already applied some of these to my knife making over the past week on a project I'm working on, and just reading them, I'm telling you, it's the best money you'll ever spend. You can't go out and eat lunch for a day or so for the same amount that you can get a year's worth of knowledge. We'll come back to that. We're going to get some live readings by Jason Friday night. Hey, we're going to talk about Blade Show, and I didn't put a lot of questions in here because Blade Show is so exciting. I think we could probably talk 5 hours or more about it. So I'm going to stop right there, and we're going to jump right into the show. Hey, let's go around real quick. Mark, how you doing? You recovered?
I think I'm recovered by now. I'm still in awe for my first time to Blade Show. So
you would have never known it. You walked around there with your chest out and your arms, your shoulders back, and spending money like it was going out of style. And I'm sure you've got some things to talk about tonight on that a little later.
Yeah, I think I do.
Yes, you do. Otis here, we didn't see you at Blade Show this year, and by gosh, we sure missed you. You were a thing popped up on my feed that said a year ago last year. Here's the photo, and there was Otis here, and I looked at that photo, and my heart sunk a little bit because I remember the guy that called me fat and Santa Claus last year, and gave me the most beautiful knife. How you doing? What's been going on?
I'm doing all right. Saddened that I couldn't make it. But life happens. A lot of things was happening at that about the same time. My son moving down to California, all his things going on and family stuff. So it got complicated. So I had to make a choice, and you know, maybe next season is going to be a better deal. So definitely planning to go. Just you know, it is what it is.
Well, that being done, hey, give us an update on your son. I mean, because he's a part of the show. We've been talking about him for a year. How's he doing?
He is doing awesome. I mean, he loves what he's doing right now. He's a driver on the tank. He's out on the field tonight, doing maneuvers and training. He's in an Op 4 unit. Mr. Mark Vassallo will know what that is. He is stationed with the 11th Armored Regiment, the Black Horse, out of Fort Irwin in California. Other than that, I mean, he is happy where he is. I mean, I talk to him almost every day. And, having a time of his life, getting paid to have fun and do fun stuff.
That's wonderful. And because we've known your son since he was graduating high school and everything, and to see the man that he's become. But in this day and age, when the world seems crazy, and, I love my country, but I tell you what, I'm not ashamed to say it. It's my podcast. My politicians are just driving me teetotally crazy, and it gets worse every day. But with all that being said, by gosh, I do love being an American. Thank you, Bodicir, and give your son a verbal or a physical hug on behalf of us people that it seems like even more so, like Jack Nicholson said, we take for granted the protections that they provide for us every day out on that wall. And thank you for that. And thank you as a father for a soldier as well. That means a lot. Means a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I know the listeners won't see it, but this is his
awesome.
His badge.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, that's nice.
That's a Lamborghini, right?
Yeah.
Similar, but I see Odysseus tooling that into a sheath in the future.
Yeah, one of his days.
So Odysseus got a stallion on a shield that's got a red and a white section to it. So that's his son's emblem for his unit. Is that the correct way to say it?
Yeah, the 11th Armored Regiment. Yeah.
There we go.
The
there we
Black
go. Just
Horse.
want to make sure I didn't get it wrong. Don, what's been going on in Florida? I last time we talked, you were looking for a press to squeeze out some gator piss and make some money. How's that been working?
I didn't find one. Oh, I didn't find one, man.
Might look for an apple cider press. You may be able to use those.
Oh, man,
go ahead.
I was just going to. Well, I played plumber earlier this week. I had to totally tear everything out from under the kitchen sink and repipe everything, and I finally finished up Joey T's knife. Got it finished. I guess
that came out beautiful.
Thanks, man. Got to build a sheath for it, and I'll be done with that. So.
Y'all need to check out Don's Instagram or his Facebook or whatever and see this beautiful knife he's made that you can't see. But Joey Terrio, who's coming out from New Orleans tonight, just so you know, also Eric is on the road till past 8 o'clock tonight. So if they get in here, fine. If not, we'll catch them on the next show. But Joey had sent out a knife design, and Don jumped all over it. And it's one gorgeous knife, so you guys need to go out there and see it. Don, we're getting too old to be climbing under sinks and doing house plumbing.
I know, buddy. I was sore for the next 2 days.
I know the feeling. Yep. I had to get in and do some work on a car, and when you got to climb under a dash and I'm only 58 and I'm losing weight, but matter of fact, 23 pounds today down. So Odysseus,
congratulations.
You're gonna have to go find a new Santa Claus, Odysseus. No beard, and I'm getting skinny. But Don, I know that feeling, having to do some work on the electronics on my truck, and man, it's cramping. It's cramping, but hey, It's good. It's good to be able to do those things. A lot of people in the world today don't know how to do the simple things that to take care of a house or car or things like that, or even plant a tomato. Who knows these days? By the way, my tomatoes are coming in. Jason Fry, what's going on in Texas, my friend?
Oh, my tomatoes are dying. Something terrible. It's been raining so much they've all got fungus.
Oh goodness!
Now, Otis, your story made me think about my son. He's in the Marines down in Pensacola, and he was telling me about this contraption called a helo dunker, which is kind of what you would think. It's a way that they put a helicopter into a swimming pool
I've
so that
seen
you can
that.
practice getting out when you crash, right?
I've seen that.
You don't,
Yeah.
and so he's all excited about getting his helicopter dunked into a swimming pool in the next couple of weeks.
I have a story about something like that.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
I have a family member by marriage. My wife's cousin is married to a Marine, high ranking now. He's stationed at the Pentagon. He had a crash on a helicopter during a training exercise. A few of his buddies didn't make it, and it's kind of one of those things that unfortunately happens every now and then. I'm just happy that this family member was able to come out and have a good long career still, right? So, but having a training with the helo dunker, like you said, that's something that I think it's really important if they're using that kind of equipment on a daily basis, right?
Yeah.
If the first time they're in that situation is when it's in the real world, then there's it's bad. You know, it's getting used to, you know, what happens when you get rolled over and upside down and you have to get out without seeing or breathing. I mean, it's a shock experience, and once you go through it once, then you'll never be truly prepared. But I think it saves lots of lives.
It has to, and it's encouraging that folks like my son and Otis Sears boy are out there getting trained, not just for stuff that's good, but for stuff that keeps them safe also.
Absolutely. Yeah, and for us old guys, isn't it interesting? It seems like just yesterday we were the ones that had family or friends or whatever that were right into that, and now it's our sons. So as fathers, man, we worry and we're proud all at the same time, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
So,
yep.
Bless our sons and daughters that are serving the country, whether it's in, fire service, EMTs, the military, policemen, or whatever. Those are the ones that are going to take care of us as we continue to become the aging population. And just so you know, you guys are a bunch of old turds. Okay, just so you know, we're all
that's fair.
Me and Don may be the oldest, but we're not ancient yet. We're just getting there.
I'm in my prime.
There you go.
I was watching scenes from Grumpier Old Men 2 today, and
I love them shows, man.
I was like,
both of them.
I was like, yeah, I still got it. Yeah. So what have we been? I saw we've got a few folks that have been drinking something a little special this year, and while we don't drink that much, and I'll say it if I didn't say on that last episode, I don't drink more than 2 beers at a time. I've always got a brew review, but I appreciate a well-made adult beverage. And at the right time, not just it's 12 o'clock, it's time to start drinking. That's not how life should be in my mind. In yours, it may be different, and that's okay. I don't judge. But, hey, it's good to have a good brew. So, Mark, you jumped into anything good this week?
Yeah, I am drinking tonight a Naked Pig Pale Ale from Back 40 Brewing Company. I think it's here in Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
So, a naked pig, you say?
Oh, that's cool, man.
There you
go. Can you give us a little bit of a rundown on that? Give us a live brew review?
I can. Well, so I can, I've had one before, but I can go right to the can, which is... Naked Pig is a delightfully crisp, handmade craft ale. There you go. Are you playing Deliverance?
That's exactly what it is.
I have no idea, but you're the one drinking the Naked Pig. But go ahead and tell us about it.
Well, and then I don't have to go through the whole thing, but they said it's good for new IPA or IPA drinkers, and then to experienced drinkers, and if you're a connoisseur. And it ends that says, "So get naked and enjoy."
Oh,
and you've got your clothes on tonight for once. Go figure.
Yeah, he does, don't he?
Well, my shirt. I have my shirt on.
Freestyling.
Well, Well, if I'm not
Uh-oh.
mistaken, and we heard the crack. If I'm not
Papa top.
mistaken, Don,
Yeah.
you actually went sans cow this week.
Oh, fancy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I got a little cacao. No, my son-in-law, he's kind of sore of different beers, and he sent home with one for Mama. It's Jack Daniel's Lynchburg Lemonade,
Yeah,
and I tried that. It's about like drinking country time. Yeah, it was sweet.
with
It
that,
really was. They're
and,
very refreshing down here.
and those could sneak up on you, can't they?
Yeah, you like not want to get out of the chair when you drink the 16 ounce.
I was down at Gulf Shores, Alabama, a couple years ago, and somebody had given me these nice little, those little push pops we drank as a kid. The little Kool-Aid type water, and they froze them, and you pushed them up through the plastic. Well,
Sure.
they did say Jack Daniels or something on them. It was margarita something or other. But I was like, these are good. I was hot, sitting out in the sun, and when I went to stand up, I was like, I think I'm gonna sit right back down again because they just got to watch them. They sneak up on you.
Hey, Chip, are you going to talk about blueberry moonshine tonight at all?
Well, we may get there. We may get there for sure.
All
For
right.
sure. That's a good topic. I wasn't, but I think I will
Yeah, you have to add that at some
for
point.
sure. Yes, Don.
I got another one I tried. I found it at Publix. It's called Sweet Baby Jesus.
Who makes that?
It's
Yeah,
Dewclaw out of Maryland, which is right down the street from Pinto, I believe. And it's chocolate peanut butter porter.
Yeah, you
And
got
it
me
is
with porter.
It's 6.2% alcohol,
Yeah,
and with all natural flavors. And I'm gonna tell you right now, when you pop the top again,
Mm-hmm.
it smelled like a Reese cup, dude. I'm serious. It smelled like a Reese cup. So
I,
it tastes
I
really
would,
good too.
I would like to say to that. Oh my! Oh my!
Oh yeah.
Oh my! That sounds
But it
good.
was, and I picked up a 6-pack at Publix, and I gave my son-in-law most of them. I said, "Here, let's try one of them, and you take the rest of them home."
You're one good father-in-law. I tell you what, buying
Yeah.
nice gifts like that for your southern-in-law.
Yep. Yeah.
Let's see.
kind of
I've had a bourbon barrel milk stout tonight, which is 12%, and now I'm drinking a bourbon barrel ale. And I've also got something special here to talk about in a minute. So I'm just taking it easy. But I will tell you that I came up with a new word there, probably influenced a little bit by those two drinks I've had tonight. Otisir. Hey, I'm at the house. Otisir, what's going on with you tonight? I see a cup there.
Oh, I'm just sipping on a little cherry Moscato, trying a little light wine, sparkling stuff. A little fruity thing every now and then is good.
Yeah.
You need
yeah.
a
Yeah.
rose in your ear to be
Oh,
drinking
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like that.
I forgot.
You did forget. So what is a Moscato? Is it a sweet wine? Is it a dry wine? What do you
Yeah,
find?
it's a sweet wine. As wine goes, that's the only kind of wine I drink. The dry wine is not my thing at all.
I bought a wine recently and got into it, and it was dry, and I realized that I had bought something I shouldn't. So I probably need to learn something about drinking wines because
Go
I
with the
bought it
Moscato.
by
Start with the
Moscato.
Moscato.
The name sounded good, so I drank it, and I was like, I need a drink of water after taking a sip. So yeah,
Yep.
so I need to be a little careful and talk to somebody that knows how to drink wine. So Jason Fry,
For all my jokes about challenging my liver, I'm actually just drinking sweet tea.
there you go, and that
right.
is perfect. We love it.
Yep, it's good stuff.
I
Gotta give
sent
it a break
Jason.
sometimes.
I sent Jason home with some Crown Royal this week that he says he's going to save for a special moment, which I can see you're doing. And on top of that, I had a bottle of something that's about $160 a bottle that I gave to somebody this week as a gift as well. And why I say the price is because it was a tip for making a very nice knife for somebody. It blew my mind. But just like with wine, the person I gave it to is somebody that could probably write books on bourbon. And I gave it to them, and I'll share a glass with them at some time. They promised that, but I wouldn't know really how to enjoy it. So I'm kind of a Maker's Mark and a that kind of drinker, and Knob Creek and so on. So if it tastes good, it's good. I just don't know how to appreciate the good stuff. Look who popped in when we weren't looking. I see.
Josh.
Yeah.
Josh.
This is like an all-star episode.
Josh Ferran looks all recharged, like he had this great blade show. Is Josh Ferran with us tonight?
Hey.
So Josh is our guest co-host tonight, so he's going to be sitting with us as long as he can tonight.
Thanks
so
for the invite.
Josh,
Happy
coming
to
off
be
a
here.
Blade show, man, did you have a good week?
It was pretty
Nice.
good. It was pretty good. Always a good time. I got my table in my hotel covered, and got to meet a lot of mastersmiths and get a lot of really good input on some of my knives. So,
Well, I tell you what, to my eye, there's not a knife that wasn't on your table that I wouldn't find as a treasure in my house. And speaking of that, I'm going to jump into David McConnell. David, yes, you're very welcome. You're a great maker and so impressive in watching you forge and everything else. David McConnell from
appreciate it.
I wouldn't say it's my home state because I grew up in North Carolina, but I lived in Michigan. David, you'll know where Clarkston or the Auburn Hills area is?
Yes, I do.
I lived in that area for 13 years. I lived in Sterling Heights, but as much as I love Alabama, I can tell you every day of the week, I certainly miss Michigan. It's such good people, such a good part of the country. David, what are we drinking tonight?
Water.
And you know what? That Michigan water, because it's surrounded on all sides by the Great Lakes. It is, guys. It's surrounded on all sides by the Great Lakes, except Canada, as David knows, tries to steal some of that water occasionally and pump into Nestle's and everywhere else. But the best water in the world comes from Great Lakes. As a matter of fact, go to bestwaterintheworld.com and you'll find the water that David McConnell is drinking tonight. I'm just kidding about that, but it is good water because the fish are huge. Jason Fry, did you not catch some huge smallmouth bass up there?
I did. I realized I was in smallmouth country while I was on a trip one time, and so I snuck out with one of your buddies and whacked some smallmouth on St. Clair.
You know what it was? You know what caused those big fish?
Awesome.
Yes.
The high-quality H2O.
High quality, mighty fine H2O and gobies. Lots of gobies in Lake St. Clair and the Great Lakes. So, David, welcome to the show tonight. We're going to get back into the Maker's Mark here just a little bit shortly. So you guys ready for my brew review? It's not going to be too long, but it's going to be live. It's going to be live. I didn't write anything out tonight.
We're ready.
I was driving down this road, the road this week, and I was just tired from Blade Show. Jason and everybody wore my old rear end out. And I realized I had to have something this week, and I stopped by my go-to place here in Decatur, Alabama. And nicest lady in the world, she came up on her walker, and she's on a walker, and I say that respectfully because she's got an old injury from running track and field when she was a younger lady. And she said, "How are you this evening?" And I said, "I'm fine. How are you?" I said, I'm in here getting me some old man beer. I need some ultras because that's what I drink to, when I'm just a drink here or there because they're low in calories, low in carbs. But I said, I need something again for my review this week for the podcast. She goes, "Oh, I love the podcast." I said, "Well, I didn't know you were listening." She says, "Well, you mention it every time and threaten me, so I started listening." So Anyway, she said, "I've got this great beer for you. It's from Straight to L Brewing Company." And just so you know, Straight to L is in the Huntsville, Alabama area. So they kind of plastered the area, but you don't always get the same thing. They've got their standard ale, but they've got a ale that comes out in the spring, and it's for an art festival, and they put it together, and it's called the Honeysuckle Blue. Straight to L Brewing Company, Honeysuckle Blue. Got a picture of a goldfish on the front. Looks kind of hippie-ish, but it's a good looking can. And it's a great tasting beer. Oh, I let the cat out of the bag. The distiller, or the brewer, I should say, says this: the spring isn't complete without Honeysuckle Blue. And that's true because in the spring, what do we see? Those honeysuckles starting to bloom. And they wanted to make sure that we always mark our calendar for April 14th because that's when it's going to be back. And they put it on drafted in 6-packs here in the area, and it makes its way throughout Alabama, maybe other places. But it's a blueberry American wheat, and it's a Huntsville spring staple. Well, that's my done reading. I will tell you, I'm sitting here with an open one of it right now, open can of it right now. And when I drink it, you do get, it's amazing that when you pay attention to a beer, and that's the difference between just drinking beer and actually enjoying someone that brews something nice. You do get those hints of blueberry, and it's a wheat ale, so it's got that wheat ale taste that just kind of grabs you. It really kind of takes me back to the old days when I used to be a well, Otis, have you seen my whole resume?
Nope. Every week I learn something new.
Yeah, well, this one is when I was a young man, and I used to have to walk in Uncle Mac's field. Uncle Mac made the biggest cat head biscuits, the best sausage gravy, and you talk about thick cut bacon and scrambled eggs. Uncle Mac, when I was a little boy, man, it was great. But I tell you, as much as he loved you, when he got you in the field and he started pulling that wagon with them horses, he was running the plow and those stones would pop up in the field. Our job was to walk behind old Uncle Mac. Occasionally the wind would lift his toupee and we would laugh. Oh, but we would walk behind that cart, and we would sit there and throw them stones on there. We would throw them stones on the back of that cart, and at the end of the day, we had a big pile of stones, and Uncle Mac would take them out to the end of the field. Uncle Mac would always reward us. We'd sit down on them stones at the end of the day, making sure no snakes from the larger pile, and he'd say, "Boys, you worked hard today. Here's a Mater sandwich." And if we were lucky, he gave us a piece of bologna out of the Oscar Mayer pack. And we got a bologna and an Oscar Mayer sandwich sitting on there. And he'd take out a nice ale, and he'd drop a few blueberries in it. He'd tell us how much he loved us and how we good were at picking rocks. And our little rear ends better work harder tomorrow picking up rocks. Well, that's what this tastes like. It tastes like the pain of picking up rocks all day. And Uncle Mac getting us drunk at 12 years old. But it is good. It is good. Honestly, all joking aside, my story is Uncle Mac actually is a real person. He was a blessed man, and those cat head biscuits and that gravy was something else. And we did pick up stones behind it. We were lucky we got a moon pie and an RC Cola at the end of those days. But I will tell you, Uncle Mac was an important person in my life. He has passed on to the good Lord right now. But based on where that beer took me, I'm going to give this one 4 stars because when I rose the level of the Milk Stout Ale bourbon barrel up to 22 stars last episode, it's going to be hard to give everything a 5 right now. You kind of have to, you don't want to just go overboard. So it's 4, maybe 4.5. It's a delicious brew. And if you are in the Alabama, Huntsville, Southern Tennessee, Central Tennessee area, and you can pick up a blueberry honeysuckle ale, grab you one of those. They're really good. So blessings to Uncle Mac, prayers and honor. And that's the end of the brew review. We're done.
Okay.
All right.
Majestic Forge is owned and operated by Brian and Kayla Horn in Rushville, Ohio. With many years of experience manufacturing 2 to 5 burner gas forges, Majestic Forge is your #1 source for blacksmith forges, farrier forges, and specialty forges. They are dedicated to creating top-of-the-line forges at a price you can afford. Majestic Forge has supplied forges to blacksmith schools, high schools, colleges, production shops, and TV shows such as Mythbusters. And Majestic Forge is the forge of choice for televisions forged in fire. Knife makers are in luck as they offer forges that come with 2 or 3 deluxe burners. Here at Knives Templars, We are sure that you can find a USA-made Majestic forge to suit your needs. Check out your next forge at majesticforge.com.
Guys, we've got some news. Before I get into my breaking news, we've had a big news week with the presidents and the ex-presidents this week, and I've got something even more important than that. You guys have anything you want to report on coming up in your areas as far as news, shows, or events or whatever?
No, I don't. Not this time.
Otis here?
Nope, I'm good.
You live in the heart of it all, Otis here. Nothing to report out of Washington, D.C. My goodness.
I don't go there very often. It's not very safe, I don't think, to be
I don't blame you.
Walking around there. And driving is a pain. And if you do decide to drive, parking is worse. And the best way would be to take the metro.
Right, I've done that.
But it's kind of shady, and a lot of shady characters in there, so I stay away from it.
Not a bad decision. I will tell you that I love to visit Washington and take the metro in and go in on the right days, but I haven't gone in many years, probably 6 or 7 years, just because you just never know what you're going to get when you go there. But our country, I love my country. Our politicians kind of drive me crazy.
I think the last time I took the metro, there was this guy dressed as Sonic with a tail and everything, just walking around.
Yeah.
So
I'm so old. I remember when the Hare Krishnas used to dance around in their orange little dresses downtown.
Oh yeah.
So, Don, were you a Hare Krishna?
No, I was not, but I see them in the airports. So.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
I see them in the airports.
I haven't seen them in several years. I guess they've become extinct. So the news that I do have this week, nothing knife related, other than to tell you that Eric always talks about unbanana his banana.
Okay,
that is right. So I've got a banana story this week. Here's your news and useful information. South Korean student eats $120,000 banana artwork because he was hungry.
Hey, man.
$120,000 banana. A hungry museum visitor in South Korea recently chowed down on the Maurizio Catalan's banana art piece entitled Comedian, which was estimated worth $120,000. Mr. Hansu, a South Korean art student, visited the Lium Museum of Art in Seoul and reportedly ate the piece of art simply because he skipped breakfast and was hungry. He then taped the banana peel, back to the museum wall. A video of the event showing him eating the art piece quickly circulated on social media. The museum did not take punitive measures against NOH, but instead replaced the banana peel with a fresh banana. Typically, the museum replaces the banana every 2 to 3 days anyway. The museum stated that it did not have plans to claim damages or press charges against the student. It happened so suddenly, they said, so no special action was taken. The artist was informed of the incident, and didn't have any reaction to him. A museum spokesman told CNN, this is big news here, guys, CNN. This isn't the first time, though, however, that a hungry onlooker has eaten the Comedian. In 2019, a performance artist, David Datuna, snatched the banana from a wall in the Periton Gallery and at Art Basel in Miami and ate the fruit in front of shocked onlookers. Oh my God, he's eating the banana. But for the artist, Mr. Cattleman said, the frequent consumption of his work is no problem. That's what's big in the world these days, guys.
I think we need to start a banana art podcast.
I do believe instead of selling knives, I think I'm going to start selling bananas taped to a wall for $120,000. I would take $25 a piece for them. Heck with $120,000. So
right.
And that leads me to Hey guys, what was your source of inspiration when you first decided to make knives? You know, many go to the books and also some go to the web, but many also head to YouTube for videos. Well, you know, we are fortunate enough to have Eric Rivers from the Rivers Experience as a co-host on the Knives Templars. But you know what? He's also a sponsor, and I tell you, 27,000 followers can't be wrong in following his skilled and educational regular videos that teach the fine arts of making beautiful knives. I know because I'm a subscriber to his channel and I learned at my pace and without making those mistakes by walking in the dark regarding knife making. Be sure and check out his channel, The Rivers Experience, on YouTube or his website at theriversexperience.com. And now back to our show. Hey guys, so you guys have been making the Joey Terrio design knife, and I got so inspired. I will tell you real quickly, I was looking at a lot of tools this week, and one thing I keyed in on was the carbide tipped hammers. And I came back home and I'm like, how am I going to drill into a ball peen hammer? First, I can tell you there's a big difference between a Lowe's ball peen hammer and a Harbor Freight hammer. It's much easier to drill into a Harbor Freight hammer. But I got a carbide tip, and I drilled in there, and I inserted my 1/4-inch carbide tip, and then I silver soldered that little ball into it. And dang, if I didn't have a carbide tip hammer. So with all that being said, I have pledged not to go into business selling these hammers. Now, I will tell you, I've got $6.90 into my hammer. But I have ordered some 3/8-inch balls now to make some additional hammers that I'll be gifting out to friends because they're actually easy to make. And when I saw what they could do, I took a knife in our house that had a slight curve to it and tapped it probably less than 20 times and straightened that sucker out and really didn't put any dents in it at all. Now, if it was a knife I was making, you could sand them out. I was like, this is magic. This is magic. I like this. And you won't have to use that tool all the time, but I thought, my goodness, this is magic. So some people on my gift list are going to get these $10 gifts that are worth $180, just so you know, on the free market, guys. So.
Isn't that amazing how something that is so simple, and I haven't seen a whole lot of people do it, and they build those big contraptions to take out a warp on a knife.
Right.
And you just go in there with that little hammer and just take it away.
Yeah,
inside
it works.
Inside the warp, and it
works.
will stretch out. Something so simple, and I haven't seen it prior for me to taking my classes with my teacher. And every time I've seen somebody working on, my blade is warped. Let me make this contraption and stick it in a vise and risk breaking it and stuff,
Well, 3 things I learned from it. Number 1 is don't hammer the hardened steel on an anvil. I was hammering a what's the name of the expensive files that you can get? They're Nicholson. I was hammering an old Nicholson file, and it snapped in 2 after the third hit. I was like, look at that. Go ahead.
But those are in the high 60s and are brittle on purpose. That's not comparable to a tempered knife blade.
Understood.
You would
Understood.
do it after you temper it. You would do it after you temper it. Jason knows. Quench it. Oh, look, it's warped. Just leave it alone. Do your tempering cycles.
I've done them on hardened stainless against my anvil.
Yep.
Without
any
breakage.
I put mine on the anvil too. This last piece I made, I had a little bit of a warpage on the tip, pulling to the right. And after tampering, went to the anvil and just tick it, tick, 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 straighten right out, good to go.
Yeah. And you're not really getting any. Now, if you're hitting,
you gotta hold it perfectly flat though. Try not to have any bounce or any angle to it. Just hold as flat as you can on your anvil and don't hammer it like you're forging, right? You're just ticking it. Tick, tick kind of deal.
I will tell you that you're right, because I hit some unhardened steel and it was just dimpling the heck out of it. When I went to the hardened steel, It was just tick, 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 like you said, and it doesn't take a lot to move them. But just like $120,000 for a banana, I tell you what, I was tickled to learn how to make these, and I've put so many whack-a-moles, I call them, on the steel. I don't think it's going to fail and the bearing come out. So I've got some 3/8" bearings on their way to do that, and I wanted to say thank you to Jason Fry, because there's no YouTube videos on how to make a carbide hammer. But
our friend Kyle Daly did a great explanation of carbide hammering on this very podcast.
Yes, he did. And I will tell you, go to Kyle Daly's website, his Kyle Daly Custom Knives, and order one of his hammers, because they are beautiful. My hammer is a usable tool. His are beautiful hammers. But I watched Mr. Jason Fry's little video he had on making a carbide hammer out of a carbide drill bit that he had, and that set me on fire, and I was able to get it done. So that was cool. Anyway, that's my relation to $120,000 bananas and unbananing your steel is using those carbide hammers. I am sold on them right now, and sounds like Otis here and Don are too.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
If you would tape that $8 hammer to the wall, you could sell it for at least 3 times as much.
And I don't think you have to worry about anybody eating it. So we'll be very good. We'll be very good. Well, I tell you, with that being said, I tell you what, it's time to refresh our waters and our lemonades and everything else. So if you give us a moment, we will be right back.
All knife makers need abrasives, plain and simple. Here at Knives Templars, we're proud to partner with Phoenix Abrasives. I used to get my belts from another company, but they spent more time on marketing than they did customer service, sometimes taking 2+ weeks to ship my order. That's not the case with Phoenix Abrasives. They're obsessed with committing all of their resources to customer satisfaction. Whether you're using a 2x72, 2x42, 1x30, or something else, they've got you covered. They even carry Rhino wet sandpaper. So go to phoenixabrasives.com/shop and enter promo code Templars10 for 10% off your next order.
Hey, welcome back to the show, guys. We got a funny one in this week. I read this and I didn't even inform you of it. I was just, I didn't know how to take it. But you ready to hear our feedback this week?
Here I am. Yes, go.
We got a couple. One was, how do I get the Knives Templars shirts? And I've got to work on getting those made where people can order them directly from the site. So if you're listening out there and you can't order them, know that I'm working on it right now. To get the cost down is what I'm working on. But Mr. Michael Dawson out of Vermont said, here we go. I have a G.I. Joe with a Kung Fu grip. It has a plastic combat knife that I put in his hand. When people come over, I say, watch out, I have a mercenary that knows martial arts and has a knife. They look awkward until I show them Joe, and then they smile as if to say, we are all protected, so let's have some fun. Then we play with Joe and the $6 Million Man action figure while drinking beers and watching Survivor Man. Great podcast, guys. We appreciate what you do.
Okay, then.
That must be our 18 to 39 group that I see out there. You guys have the $6 Million Man when you were a kid?
Oh, yeah.
Don, I had the $6 Million Man. You could look through his eye, at the back of his head, through his eye, and crank his back, and he'd lift the old motor in the air. Yeah. And every year I got a brand new G.I. Joe because the other one had developed, what's that disease? The mange. The G.I. Joe had developed the mange and his hair was starting to fall out. So I got a new G.I. Joe every year at Christmas and got up. I used to get up in the middle of the night to get my G.I. Joe. So I can associate with this guy. And I did have the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip. So, party on, Garth. We're glad you're listening.
Glad he's liking it.
We're going to have to let that go. And we'll see you out there, Mr. Dawson. Thank you for listening. And we're going to take another quick one, and we'll be right back with our Pops Maker's Mark guest, Mr. David McDonald. Be right back. Oleg Bashevic has been making stabilized wood and other supplies for knife makers for almost a decade. His stabilized wood products have been used by many of the best and most well-known knife makers in the world. This wood, when turned into knife parts, are stable to humidity, water, snow, oils, and other materials that would prematurely wear out a knife handle. He works out of his shop in Tula, Russia, and produces natural wood products that are as beautiful as Russia's famed Fabergé eggs. Knife makers around the world will tell you that his blocks should not be cut and placed on display. Oleg has distribution centers in Russia and in the United States. He's shipping right out of the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area, so if you're looking for something in the States, you can have it in just a few days. I guarantee you'll be excited to get your package that comes wrapped beautifully, already polished, so that you can see the most beautiful grain and colors that he impregnates into each piece of wood. You can find Oleg not only on Facebook, but you can also find him at knife-wood.com. That's knife-wood.com on the internet. Go out and take a look at Oleg's products. I'm guaranteeing you'll be happy to put them on your next knife. And now back to the show. All right, well, welcome back. It is time for the heart of the matter. And I met with all the guys at Pops last week at Blade Show, and let me tell you, I was so happy how receptive they were to our Maker's Mark series. But I will tell you, I met somebody last week that I didn't realize it was them, and then I started talking to them, and they introduced themselves, and they'd already talked to me for about 20 minutes. Mr. Dirk Lutz with Pop's Maker's Mark from Africa, and he was teaching me how to cuss to Trolsky, as well as pronounce his name, Mihal. There we go, Michael Mihal, and then, like, it was the next day, somebody said, this is Dirk Lutz. And I was like, oh, my gosh, I'm standing here. And I don't want to put people and say they're royal to this, that, and the other. But, just like I think of people like David McConnell, Jason Fry, and Trolsky, and the guys at Pops, these are guys that are just really entrenched in our knife-making community. So I'm not putting them on a pedestal as much as I'm saying they deserve the respect for all that they've done for our industry. And with that being said, I mentioned something. We've got Mr. David McConnell on tonight, who is with Northwoods Forge. He's out of Harrison, Michigan. You can find him on Facebook. Friend this guy. He is so cool. Find him at northwoodsforge.com. He was on Forged in Fire, and I'm sure you can find him on Instagram as well. David, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, are you on Instagram? I'm sure you are. You got to be.
Yep, Northwoods Forge.
There we go. I just want to make sure I got that right. So, you had sent me an email a couple weeks ago, and when I saw that the caliber of the guy that was saying, hey, listen, I listened to the show and love to come on, I was like, you should have been on 6 episodes ago just because of the quality of what you're making. Tell us a little bit about how you got started. I know that you've got... And stalking you, I saw something about more than 17 years, but I'm sure it's probably a lot more than 17 years now. So tell us a little bit about your story.
So I grew up in northern Michigan, and now I'm a blacksmith, bladesmith. I started out as a blacksmith about 18 years ago now. And I never really actually even forged much for blades until I got on Forged in Fire.
So is that kind of what drove you to start forging and learning to forge more so as an everyday thing, or what got you there? Because I know that even like talking to Eric, he's really developing his forging skills, and he's excellent at it these days. He's talked a little bit about the possibility of being able to go on the show.
So yeah, I'm a firm believer that you should actually be doing some blacksmithing stuff before you ever forge anything. You learn so much more on how to control the metal, move it from here to there, and the forging is so easy for me. It's the grinding that I hate.
Yeah.
So talk about easy forging, right? How was your Forged in Fire experience?
Not easy.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
What'd you make?
We made for the finale weapon a tall war.
Oh.
Okay, what's that in English knife making terms?
Basically, it was a cavalry saber in India for during like the 1500s.
Okay, so you were in season 4, you said. That's right on the bubble of when the losers started getting their thing back. I only use that term because that's how I describe the thing in my closet.
Right. Yeah.
Did you get your Talwar back?
I was actually one of the very first people to get their finale weapon back.
Hey, cool.
It was the producer, not the producers, but it was the guys, Jale Nielsen, Dave Baker, Doug Markida. They were all advocating for us to get our weapons back. So yeah, I got it about 2 weeks after that episode aired. What's that?
What happened to people's weapons? What happened to people's weapons before they started giving them back?
They kept.
So when they were filming in New York, when they were filming in New York, most of the stuff they were making was illegal, and so they couldn't get it to them. Once they moved to Connecticut, is when they were able to start turning loose. Gotcha. So they kept every single one.
The big deal. Yep.
Gotcha. So we saw you at Blade Show this year, and you have a variety of beautiful knives, but I also saw that you also make your own boxes and your own foam filler, and with the nice cloth and everything that goes in those. How are you doing that?
I actually am playing with a laser. So I have a little bit of engineering background a little bit, so I'm able to produce CAD drawings and all that stuff, and then cut out the parts and pieces and put them together with the laser.
It's amazing how those knives fit into the cases. I mean, anybody that buys one, if they're buying it as a collector piece, I mean, it's just a total package. It is extremely professional. I have one quick question. Red Wings?
Yep.
Okay, very good, very good. You still a good fan, even though even though the last 20 years has been kind of
right. Yeah,
we had them during the 90s and the early 2000s, but it's kind of it'll come back around, right?
Oh, it's Hockey Town.
It is Hockey Town. So how would you define the style of knives you make? I saw them. They're gorgeous. And of course people can't see them. So paint us a verbal picture.
I like to make very sleek, clean line blades. I like bowies, or buoys, however you'd like to pronounce it. With very long clips, just nice, slender, and sleek.
I actually noticed that, and they are. And you've got beautiful, clean lines on every one of your knives. I would say you're probably getting as close to CNC without CNC. You're doing it with your hands. I mean, it's just gorgeous. And that right there, to me, is a whole different level because, as we're growing, and like I said, I've never seen an ugly knife. There's a lot of people that will tend to clean up their knives with a conditioning belt or Trizac or whatever. It appeared to me that you are taking your time and really getting in and making sure you've got clean, crisp lines on every one of those blades.
Yeah, that's, I think that should be the goal.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. So you've learned belt progression over your years as a knife maker and speed. And what was it you told me about Jason Fry about the last what?
Oh, the last 10% of the knife is 90% of the goodness.
Yes, most definitely. And it sounds like you're putting 100% into the last 10%, David, or it looks like you are when I've seen your knives.
Oh, it's the devil's in the details.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
is.
Yes,
it is. So I'm going through your Instagram page. They all look good. Mm-hmm. They all look clean. I like what I see. finishing. Are you doing a lot of belt finishing there, or you go to hand sanding as well?
I'm doing
I've
a
seen a
lot of
couple
hand
hand
sanding.
sanded, and I've seen some with the belt
Yep.
finish.
Yep. Most of the stuff's hand sanded lately.
Isn't
I
it
kind of
nice
go all over
and
the place.
therapeutic? Just sit there and hand sand a piece for like
Oh,
4 hours.
no, not at all. I hate it.
Oh man.
Can I tell you something that makes it nicer, though? I was fortunate enough. I spent the extra money and got the extra purchase two, get one extra from Kyle Daly. And ended up with three of his sanding, what do you call them? The sanding bars? Or
Buddies, sanding buddies.
buddies. Thank you. Pardon me. And I will tell you, I've got my Carta blocks that I've turned into sanding and put leather on one side, hard on the other. But those things are just ergonomically just fit into my hands. Now, I can tell you I still hate sanding, but I hate it less now that I started using those this week. There's many ways to do it, but Kyle, being an engineer himself, has got it down. So, Don, it sounds like you're a user of sanding buddies as well.
No, I'm not. I haven't. I try not to hand sand anything, but I will be getting some of them.
Gotcha. Hey, Mark, what do you got on that?
No, I got one, and yeah, I love it. Just again, I think everybody's time's valuable, right? And so somebody could buy a nice piece of micarta and get it set up, and then try to get a router table and do a lot of work and probably make something at some point that looks like that. But for the to be able to go on there and buy a finished piece that fits right into all the nooks and crannies, it's a good little tool.
It really is.
So I
bought three of them. So I said, hey, Kyle, if I get all three now, will you sign them for me? Because he's something else. Actually, I saw this week that Kyle got into the guild as a voting member. So congratulations to Kyle Daly on that. But he signed mine and he says, Kyle Daly, Chip, you're a knucklehead. So I've got those now to enjoy. Oh, he also put in small letters. I never listened to the Knives Temper. So, but it was, actually he does, and I was tickled at that, and I always listen to their show as well. But David, so you spend a lot of time sanding. I noticed that you had a lot of attention to detail around your handle selection, and how it matched up to your knife. So where does your handle materials come from? Because they were very unique.
Some of it comes from online sources, but a lot of it I make.
Okay, that's why.
I like having everything made by me when I do a knife.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why I looked at the handles and everything, and I thought these really kind of stand out because we weren't seeing the usual materials. We were seeing similar materials or slightly, they kind of stood out as something different. And I think that makes all the difference in the world when you're sitting there competing against several hundred other sellers at the world's largest show like that for yours to stand out. How'd you do this year? Speaking of that,
not bad. We paid for our trip and our table, and we did all right.
Good.
Made a lot of good contacts.
I asked your son when you were away from the table, because the first time I met your son who was at the show, he said, his dad's gone off because I thought he was a maker. And he said, no, he wasn't. He was just watching the table for his dad. And I said, well, you're running a 50% off sale. And he would not, David, as much as I tried, or I'd have walked away with a couple of your knives.
He's a good boy then.
You've got a noble, you've taught him well, but I was looking for 50% off. Otherwise, I will let you know I put everything for 50% off at Jason Fry's table when he walked.
And even then, you couldn't sell any.
It wasn't the knives, was it, Mark? It was my ability to. Pork.
I think you were scaring him off.
I was. It was the face. It was the face.
Yeah.
So Otis, here you're holding up beautiful pictures of us. Beautiful pictures of David's knives. What do you got to say about that?
Yeah, man, I like those colors on those handles, man. They're really pretty.
Yeah, they're like the trout colors.
Yep.
Oh, they're gorgeous,
right?
Yep.
And they're like trout knives.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
bird and trout.
Speaking of that, Michigan's a great outdoor state, and trout and salmon and everything run through the streams and such there. Is there any influence, I would say, on the wilderness around you? Because when I was in Michigan, and I certainly miss it, I was always connected to the outdoors there, and certainly the fauna and the deer, the wolves, the bobcats, the trout, the salmon fishing, and Bigfoot as well, I must say.
Yep.
Does that influence your knife at all? Because you certainly appeal, I think, to that particular market.
Yeah, so I'm a big time hunter and fisherman. So the trout handles, the rainbow trout, the brown trout, the brook trout. I love fly fishing, so I wanted to incorporate that into my knives because they're a bird and trout knife. So I figured, why couldn't they have bird and trout handle scales?
Right.
Yeah, it came out really nice. I like it.
Yeah, they did.
I like it a lot.
So what, as far as the future, now, are you making knives full time?
I am a full time maker and a part time regular job guy. So,
So how is the transition going to that? Because ultimately that's a big step a lot of guys would take, but it really takes an entrepreneur and really somebody that's got brass marbles to take that step, whether they be male or female. I mean, it takes a lot of faith in yourself and also your product.
well, it helps that I was a blacksmith first, because I don't sell just knives. I sell a lot of stuff that is blacksmith related. I do a lot of the decorative stuff. Make roses. I've done staircases, chandeliers. So that being diversified, that's the whole thing.
Sure. So you're getting many different markets there, and that is cool. I will say I'm watching you on screen right now, and our listeners don't see this, but you have this beautiful chinked wall in the background. We saw this beautiful. Are you in a cabin in Michigan?
Yes.
So you were like the postcard of the typical Michigander that's got this beautiful cabin, probably in the forest. Are you in the forest or off the main road?
Yep.
And
we have.
snow comes down, smoke through the chimney.
We even
just
have
most
the
beautiful.
spruce trees in the yard,
And is there a creek nearby?
right in my backyard.
Are you not did God not touch your life or what? I mean, how does a man get that fortunate in life? I mean, I just don't know how to explain it.
I don't know. I feel truly blessed.
You seem like a blessed man.
You are.
So what's in the future for you as far as knife making goes?
I'm just gonna continue it, pursue. I got a lot of ideas that I especially after Blade Show, talking to other makers. They've inspired me to do some things, and I wanna pursue that.
So different style knives or different products, or what are you looking at?
Yeah, well, kind of a direction that I like. I love the forging process, and I would love to start doing stuff along the line of Lin Ray, because his stuff, he is like he is my idol. So and I love his style. So that's the pursuit I want.
If I'm not mistaken, Mark, didn't we eat dinner next to them one night over at Blade Show? Weren't they sitting at the next table over?
They were right behind us. We just happened to be talking about about his son and Shannon's friend and everything, and they happened to be right behind us. So it's a good coincidence.
Boom! We turned around and there they were.
That's right.
So with that being said, I want everybody to know that honestly, David makes some of the most beautiful knives in the world. And I encourage you, if you're listening, if you are a knife enthusiast or a maker that just wants to be influenced, because David talked about, Lynn Ray influencing him or someone he respects, certainly. I think David is the type of maker, the type of blacksmith that can influence you as well. Certainly looking at his work, looking at his product packaging has influenced me already, because you can't get any more professional in what he's doing, making his own wooden boxes, his own packaging material, the foam and everything that sits inside the boxes. It's just gorgeous. I want you to go out and visit him at northwoodsforge.com. He's also on Instagram at Northwoods Forge, and you can find David McConnell out there on Facebook. And he's such a nice guy. I think that if you befriend him and you're a new maker and have some questions or what this, that, and the other, I don't think he'll turn you down, because I find him to be a very genuine person. So go out and visit him on Facebook or any of those other locations. With that being said, we've got a very important decision here to make. And David, have you listened to our show before? I believe, because you you won the major award of being on tonight, and this is the honor. Now, Forged and Fire is pretty darn good. I mean, I don't think I could even acquire that. But let me say this: the honor of becoming a Knives Templar, an honorary Knives Templar. And with that, I always must say, because I don't want to ever, what happens when you have a policy and no one follows it? Eventually the policy gets distorted. And I'm all about LEAP policy. Is it legal? Is it ethical? Does it add value? And number one, is it policy adherence? And if you're going to be in my organization, you need to know this. You have no voting rights. I'm the big cheese. You have no spending authority. I will use your image to my advantage. And since I did get your signature at Blade Show on a piece of leather, did I not? Did I get your signature at Blade Show?
No, not mine.
Oh. Well, I will not be using your signature to write fake checks or turning in anything else in life. So honestly, you have no rights other than you can come on this show at any time as the most respected member, loved by the Templars and the knife making community at your request. Chip, I'm coming on and I'm there. So with that being said, we have to go through a very important vote here, and ends with Don, because Don is the guy that has the gavel. So we'll start off tonight. Odysseer, you've seen this gentleman's knives. You've heard him talk. He's from Michigan, so that gives him a few extra points in my book. And he lives in a cabin that's probably a beautiful Christmas postcard. So I'll leave it up to you. Knives, cabin, postcard, great guy. What do you say?
Well, he lives in a place where I want to live someday, so I say yes. Welcome to the club.
Probably doesn't mean show up at his door now just because you let him in.
Well, one of these days, who knows?
So you're welcome.
I might go squatching over there in his backyard.
That's right. There's squatches. That place is squatchy. I've seen them on that show up there in Michigan. And by the way, David, if you get in, your name goes on our wall of fame or shame, whatever you say. So far you've got one vote. Mark Vasallo, Sallo. What does my friend Mark say tonight?
Yeah, absolutely 5 knife points up for David, and also getting the chance to meet the man in person was a great experience.
Isn't that the coolest thing? This is someone we know, and they're on the show now.
I know.
They make us feel important, and they're the important ones. I will tell you, I would give him not 5. I'd give him like 5 squishies.
5 squishies.
I didn't meet
right.
Squishy last week, but I met Squishy's friend. They would probably eat Squishy, but anyway.
He would.
Well, Jason Fry, what do you say, being a fellow Forged in Fire contestant, a great maker, and a Knife Guild past president and member?
I'd say he fits right in.
I think he does too. Well, I'm not the most important vote on here. That one's coming up, so I'm going to say, David, I used to teach Dale Carnegie courses, and one thing in Dale Carnegie was, number one, is faith. Number two was to always provide sincere appreciation to everyone you meet. Don't lie to them and tell them that they're great, because if they're not, they're going to understand that you're just jerking their chain. Number two, sincerity creates lasting friendships. My first introduction to you was being introduced to your son, and I didn't even know who he was. And one thing is every child should live in a way that they honor their parents. And this young man, who is in his 20s, but this young man, 20s, right?
Yep.
Yep. This young man who is in his 20s was so polite, so nice, wouldn't sell things at 75% off, and was just there supporting his father. When I met the man who I stumbled into, because I was looking for you, because I had a hard time finding tables this year. I didn't find Mr. Malinsky, by the way, and I am so ashamed for that. But when I met you, you exceeded my expectations as a person, an individual, and a maker. I mean, I was just wowed by your table and also the person who you presented yourself to be in the short time that we got to know each other. And with that being said, I consider you my friend, and I hope that's reciprocated, but I consider you my friend and certainly a very respected maker in our community. So with that, you get 5 hops. And that's 5 yeses.
Thank you.
So Don has veto power. We actually voted in offline that Don has veto power. He can tell the rest of us to go pound sand. So hopefully we get the proverbial, go ahead, Don. Let's see if we get it.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Welcome to this.
That means you're in, brother. That means you're in. Don't turn in any receipts.
Yeah, don't.
All right. David, welcome as a honorary Templar. You just let us know anything you got going on in the knife making community or anything you want to talk about. Just say, guys, I'm coming on tonight and I want to talk about this. And we will have you on in the future. We may just even ask you back because we can see that you continue to go places and you're a great maker out there. So thank you for your influence on the knife making community. And we hope to see you on an episode again soon.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Well, guys, with all that being said, and there's nothing like meeting some of the best makers out there in person, you got to go to Knife Show. But with that being said, we will be right back. We're going to listen to some of the guys that we visited many times at Knife Show this year. Be right back.
Pop's Knife Supply was started 40 years ago and is owned by 4 professional knife makers. Andy Roy of Fiddleback Forge, Alan Searles of W.A. Searles Knives, Joey Berry of J.B. Knife Works, and Dirk Lutz of Dirk Lutz Knives make a great team of owners carrying on the traditions and business started by James Poplin. Over 4 decades in business is a testament to the best customer service with same-day shipping on weekdays. Pops only charges actual shipping, and any shipping differences are refunded on your orders. Everything you need to make knives, from grinding, steel, pin stock, heat treating, and more, can be found at Pops. Visit them at popsknife.supplies. And now, back to the show.
All right. Well, welcome back. And I tell you guys, was that not a great interview? I mean, one thing I can tell you, I've never seen an ugly knife. My first knife wasn't ugly. And I look at it now and I'm like, I wouldn't make that again. My goodness. But it wasn't ugly because it's the human spirit. It's the mind, the body, the heart that goes into making anybody that goes in and starts carving out steel, removes everything. It doesn't look like a knife. I mean, it's just amazing. And David's knives were just gorgeous. His personality was great. And I will tell you, it was a blessing to meet him. With that being said, though, I'm so excited. Jason's come on with us. And Jason, you're more than welcome to sit in on any of these podcasts with us because essentially you're one of us. If people go to knivestemplars.com, they can see your pretty face. So as far as I'm concerned, why don't you go ahead? Hey, Mark, what are you laughing at?
I'm not laughing at anything.
You're pretty. You're pretty
Yeah.
too, Mark.
All our faces are faces that a mother would love.
Why do you think I got you guys on here? Because I'm so ugly, I could only work a podcast. At least I can put you guys in the advertising.
Faces for radio, huh?
Mark, you're a pretty man. You're a very pretty man. Hey, Jason, why don't you take us into a Jason Fry tip from your book, Knife Making Hacks, 384 Tips to Make Knives Like the Pros by Jason Fry.
All right. So the one I was thinking of today is really number 245 and 246. And they are about drill bits and drilling holes. I listened to no less than 8 hours of this podcast driving home from Blade Show. And one of my favorite parts is the part where they troubleshoot questions. And this is one of the questions, one of the areas that comes up really often in my experience. So the tip says that all drill bits are not created equal, and you get what you pay for. Go with the quality high-speed steel bit, or step up to cobalt, or if you need to use hardened steel, use a carbide bit. Big box store bits are seldom worth your time. And then the next one is equally drilly. It says, in general, I make up words too, Chip. See, it's okay.
Good.
In general, for drilling steel, the slowest speed on your press is the one to use with standard drill bits. Clamp your work down and use more down feed pressure than you would initially think. A bit of cutting oil can help also. All right. So the question is always, man, I've got this blade and I can't get the hole to drill in it, right? So my two pieces of advice would be, what bit are you starting with? If it's something from Harbor Freight or the cheapest one you could find at a big box store, that might be your problem. Okay. So I'm a big fan of good quality high-speed steel or cobalt bits. They will do almost anything you need in the knife-making world, except drill true hardened steel. We'll get to that in a minute. The key really is a lot of downfeed pressure and as slow speed as you can muster. Coming at knife making from just a general building mechanical background, drilling wood bits, and just as an average man, it never crossed my mind how much pressure you need to put on that downfeed to get that hole to drill, right? But if you're running 1/4-inch bits and you're not leaning on that, it's going to take forever. But if you lean on it, the machine does the work and it cuts just fine. The other angle there came out of, honestly, some of the stuff listening to the podcast. There's been some dancing around about carbide bits as a cure-all for this won't drill. Yeah, kind of, maybe a little, right? A carbide bit is pretty expensive. So a 3/32 high-speed steel drill bit might cost you $1. A carbide one is going to cost you about $8 or $9 in that size on up, right? So it's a tool and it does the job well, but it's not the answer to everything. A carbide bit will drill hardened steel if you follow the opposite advice that I just gave you. So carbide needs to run fast and needs to have not a ton of pressure. You let the bit do the work. You don't have to lean in it quite as much. And it has to be super tightly clamped, right? Your workpiece cannot wiggle using carbide or you'll break your bit, right? Mm-hmm. So if you run to the store, and you can't buy them at the store either, but if you run to eBay or somewhere and buy you a carbide bit and it's a small one, like a 3/32 or something, and it's not clamped down tight and you're not running it at high speed, you're going to think those Templars are crazy recommending this. Nope, it's the technique, guys. The bit is a tool that does its job very well, but it's a different job. It's a different approach than a regular bit. Don, you're shaking your head like you've been there before.
Oh yeah. I mean, I came out of the woodworking world, and the bigger the bits on wood, slower you want to go. Mm-hmm. And same way with steel. The bigger the bits, you want to go kind of slow and try to use the oil as much as you can, because you can burn your bits up. I mean, if you go down to Harbor Freight and buy bits, they will not last long at all, man.
Harbor Freight bits are for wood, period.
Yep, exactly.
I mean, I know they've got some concrete bits, but they've got that nice 50-bit set for $7 or $8. But I mean, it is what it is.
You do get what you pay for.
Yeah,
you do.
So let's talk. We got one more angle on this hole won't drill. A lot of times that will come from two scenarios. One would be, I hardened this blade and forgot to drill the holes. Right? That happens. Mm-hmm. The other one is, I forged this blade and it's supposed to be soft and it still won't go. Right? Those are two different issues. When you're working on a forge blade that won't drill, a lot of times it has to do with the internal structure of your steel, plate martensite or plate pearlite. Quote other guys on the metallurgy there, but there are some structures internally that just don't play nice. Okay.
Yeah.
The answer to that to me is a torch. And when I say a torch, I don't mean you have to have acetylene. I mean a plumbing torch. So if you will take that spot where that hole goes and run the torch on it till it goes through the color changes all the way to gray, it'll drill. That torch work there will make the difference.
Yep.
Yeah, I learned how to. I'm actually waiting to build up enough ash in my fire pit to use ash, but I've been using the Eric Rivers method of just closing up my forge and letting that steel soften up over a period of hours, and that made all the difference in the world. Especially working with steels that I don't know, and working with a lot of old leaf springs or car springs and this, that, and the other. And that's worked tremendously. But I learned a lot about bits because I actually went and spent probably close to $40 on bits and burned every one of them up at a Lowe's several months ago. And failure creates expertise in certain things. So number one, making sure your steel's ready to accept whatever bit you're going to put to it. But you mentioned something, you can't get those carbide bits at the big box stores. So if you need them, go get them there. But also, you can use the store bits at Lowe's or wherever, as long as your steel is prepped and ready to accept them.
Right. They will work well with good technique.
Yes.
If you have bad technique, they are not very forgiving.
And as Don mentioned, a good cutting oil, that makes all the difference in the world. It keeps that friction down and keeps them from burning up.
And 135 degree cut on the drill bit will actually help as well. So there's I believe it's Lowe's, there's like a CLE brand drill bit company. It's a made in America, non major name, but I have those and they cut fantastic. It's like going through butter. The biggest thing though is like y'all said, make sure your steel's soft, and drill with the sharp bit and that 135 degree angle. If you ever like resharpen even like your bad cheap drill bits, if you resharpen them to that 135, you'll get a couple of holes out of them before they start going.
Yeah, I freehand resharpen mine. I'm not any good below about 1/8 of an inch, but I can get a 3/16 or quarter by hand without a jig to at least cut a hole. Now it's not the same. If I had an actual drill sharpener or some actual skills, it would be better. But I can get it to cut a hole again anyway.
So Josh, what's the address where I can start sending Josh Ferran? Where's the address I can start sending my drill bits to for resharpening? Because that's something I don't do very well.
They'll have to come with a carbide hammer.
The old do you have one of those, Josh?
I don't. What I do have is a delay, though.
You will have one shortly, my friend. I've got some. The delay's okay. I can cut that out, but I do have some 3/8 bearings coming. So you are on my gift list. I can't wait. That I'm honored to make.
I appreciate that.
So cool with that. So, Jason, where can people find this wonderful book that I spoke of so eloquently at the beginning regarding, you just don't have to read it on the John. This is a good book just to sit around. If you're out hiking in the forest and you find a tree, set your little Johnny Appleseed down and sit there and open your book and start reading, and the raccoons and the squirrels walk by. You're going to learn some stuff. And if you wanted to do that, Jason, what's the best way to do it?
If you want an autographed copy, you can get those from my website, frycustomknives.com. I've got a bookstore there that I sell this book and another one. Like I say, autographed. Now, if you just want one, you can buy it on Amazon or something. But Jeff Bezos is rich already. So, yeah, go
there you go.
So check out my website.
We encourage everybody to go to Jason Fry's website and get the book there. And honestly, I will tell you, I didn't know how many tips I needed, Jason. And when I had the opportunity to actually see the book and start flipping through it, I was drawn into it. And that's why I didn't sell any of your knives. I kept telling people, leave me alone. I'm reading this book at your table.
Well, there you go.
Sorry. So, Jason, thank you very much. And with that being said, let's jump back in. We got to pay the bills, and somebody else supports us we're going to want to talk about. Don, you need to go to the bathroom?
I sure do. Let's go.
All right. Me too, brother. We'll be right back.
Looking for a brand new or used firearm in or around Hartselle, Alabama? Head on down to Byford's Gun Shop and explore their latest offers and deals. On top of a great selection of high quality and affordable firearms to fit your needs, their staff will have you driving away with a smile. Byford's is a third-generation business that has been serving customers since 1971. Started by Joe and his father Ernest, the business continues to prosper well into the 21st century with Jeff Byford's knowledge and leadership. With brands like Benelli, Clock, Sig Sauer, and many others, you won't go wrong. Also check out their large selection of AR-15s and hunting rifles in many calibers. Byford's carries ammunition, special installation service, knives, accessories, transfers, and customer service that's second to none. Stop in and see them at 510 Main Street West in Hartselle, Alabama, or like them on Facebook at Byford's Gun Shop. Their team can be reached at 256-778-3111. That's Byford's Gun Shop, where they go the extra mile to satisfy your shopping experience. Head on over today. They'll be waiting for you with friendly faces.
Wee!
Ding, 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 ding.
Uh-oh, that's the wrong chord. There we go. Welcome back, guys. Hey, and I do encourage you to go out and get a copy of Jason's book because, like I said, before getting there, there's lots of good books out there, and I'm not much of a reader, but having the opportunity to sit down and read through Jason's book, man, I was drawn right into it, and I wouldn't steer you in the wrong direction. It's a good book, and I guarantee you, it will make you a better knife maker if you follow those tips. It's those little common everyday things that we don't think about, and you go and implement it. And it's like, wow, you just increase your abilities by a small percentage, and you add them all up times 384 items, and you've really grown as a maker. So we're fortunate to have Jason put that book together and also be on our show. Guys, Blade Show, here we are. Let's talk about it. I'm going to lead in. I know that myself, Jason, Josh, Mark, Eric, who's not with us tonight, we're there, but I must say, I'm going to start off this one thing. You're yawning, Otis, here. I'm going to wake you up. I got to meet Trolsky. I got to meet Trolsky.
Yeah. I saw them pictures, man. Congratulations.
Me and Michael. I walked up to him. I was over there with Josh Ferran and Mr. Trolsky. I'll just call him Mr. Trolsky. He was over at a booth away, and I had to go to a couple meetings that morning, and I got back, and there wasn't a knife on the table. And I was so disheartened.
Yeah, you sold out quick.
And I sat over there, and Jason's like, well, you could have bought one, or Justin's like, you could have bought one of mine. I'm sorry, Josh. no disrespect. You make gorgeous knives. I can find you most days of the week. Yeah. So I was over there, and I'm making time with Josh, and Josh knows I'm just looking at the other person and making small talk. But I came clean. I said, dude, I'm just here till he breaks up with that other guy he's talking to. And I had the opportunity to go over, and I said, I'm Chip Carlisle, and I make knives, and I really and before I could say that, he goes, I know who you are. He goes, you're Chip. And I went, inside, I'm like, electric shock. I don't care who you are. If you respect somebody, listen, guys, it's not a love affair. It's just so much respect. If you're an artist that plays the guitar and you meet somebody that totally influences your work, when you have that opportunity, it just rocks your world to talk to somebody that had that impact on you. So he knew who I was, and I said, I told him why I respected him and his influence, and he knew our podcast, and he knew my website, and he knew all of these things that didn't realize that he had just kind of paid attention. And we spent probably a little less than an hour chatting. And at his table, I grabbed one of his stickers, and there was a bottle of bourbon there because there were no knives. He was just offering everybody a drink that came to the table. And he came up and actually talked to me again during the show about some of the things he had seen. And then I saw him again in the pit that night. And I must say, Mahal, if you are listening to this show, thank you. Thank you, because as a maker and even as an old guy, I to see somebody with your youth and your talent amongst so many other people and the things that you've done in this community through your YouTube page and the different things, the photos of your knives and everything. It was such an honor to meet Mr. Trolsky, and I hope that I get to spend time with him again. As a matter of fact, guys, I'll be making one of my next 2 knives. I'll be making one to send over to him, and we'll see if he reciprocates. We talked a little bit about that, and regardless, I'll pay for a knife. But what a wonderful individual. That's number 1, and I'll shut up after this. Number 2 was I received a phone call on Thursday, and somebody said, when are you coming over? Or it was a text message or whatever. When are you coming over? I said, I'll be over Friday. They said, well, I've got a suite, and there's an extra room if you want to stay in it. And I said, I'm already in the car. I'll be there shortly. And I had to go to work on Friday. So I drove over that even to Atlanta and went to work that morning over in my Atlanta location that I can work at, and came back later on in the afternoon. And it was Mr. Jason Fry. And, he's on our show, and we talk about him a lot. He has great contributions, but also, Jason, just sit back and take this. Sometimes the ability to take compliments just as important as giving them. I didn't know what to expect. I opened the door, and he's standing there naked, and I was like, no.
Oh, here we go.
Big joke. I'm going to come back to serious.
What was he drinking? Some Bud Light too?
No, sir.
No.
He welcomed me. He welcomed me in, and we got to talking. And it was though I was meeting somebody, but becoming a family member, the brotherhood of knife makers, so very quickly. And we spent the weekend apart and together on the floor. He trusted me with his knives to sit there and not sell a damn thing. But I met a person, and I found out more about their background, like I did you, Otis, here, being there with his ministry in the past, the things that he does today, what he's passionate about, whether it be Brexit, so to speak, of Texas, or we talked a little about, not much, but also his passion for people and his passion for knife making. And above all things, he critiqued my knife. And that's where I'd never heard it before, the last 10% of your knife. And I actually called my wife excited that same evening and say, Jason Fry just critiqued my knife, beat the hell out of it. And I am so excited to come back home, have a beer ready, and stay out of my shop. I've got 10% to spend on this knife again. So I'm going to stop right there because I've got a million other things I can talk about. But guys, I know Mark and Jason are on here, and Josh, tell us about your blade shop.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Wow, yeah. I took one, so I'll give you one back, Chip. So I had never met Chip, and all that stuff he said is mostly true, except for the Bud Light naked thing.
Exactly.
But I did let him stay with me, and he does not toot his own horn, but Dale Carnegie has nothing on Chip on making friends and influencing people. Lots and lots of folks recognize him, know him, respect him for his work on this podcast. He is quite a good fella, honestly, that I had never met until Blade Show this year. So that was an important part of the experience for me.
I'll sleep with you anytime, Jason Fry, as long as we're in separate rooms. You're great.
As long as that intermediate door is locked. You're welcome anytime.
You are a great man. He doesn't snore, guys. I don't snore either. I didn't snore, did I?
I don't think so. I was sleeping pretty hard.
I went backpacking with a friend of mine one time, and in the middle of the forest, 17 miles in, and it was the worst sleep I ever had. I didn't have earplugs that were strong enough, so you didn't have that issue. But I met a fine person, and I'm proud to call you friend. Josh, tell us about your Blade show.
Man, it was awesome this year. A couple of friends of mine, Josh Howard. Now I'm gonna blank on the names because I'm pulling them up. Right,
friend of the show,
and Austin Hensley, Matthew Berger, and a couple other guys. We got a Airbnb, which kind of changed my Blade show experience a little bit. But no, it was great. Everybody was super friendly. It seemed like this year was a little busier than last year. Got to talk to a whole bunch of people. I was able to sell enough to cover the cost of my table and my share of the Airbnb. So in my books, that's pretty good. And I talked to a whole bunch of
Congrats.
whole bunch of mastersmiths on like, here's my knife, I'd pull people aside and just be like, hey, do you mind hurting my feelings real quick? And everybody's super nice about it. They're all like, I don't want to hurt your feelings. I said, no, I'm obviously joking, but, I would like a critique, I look up, I respect you. I respect the work that you do, and I'd like to get on your level. And, they gave me a whole bunch of good, like you say, Jason, last 10% stuff, just little things to look for that, you don't even think to look for until somebody points it out. And, it was awesome. I really, really enjoyed it. I had a great time.
Blade Show is not about selling knives. Nobody's going to go there and become a thousandaire or a 10,000aire. And Kyle Royer or Tyrell may become that because of the beautiful and the expensive knives they make. And there's other people there besides them, but it's really about the networking and the communications and the community, because Blade Show was the work that you guys and us visitors did all day long. That led up to the pit at night, when all of the makers, the companies, the machine equipment providers, the material suppliers, and all that came together. And it just became one big giant family reunion as far as I was concerned. And I enjoyed that more than anything. Mark, what did you think about that experience?
Well, for me, I think different than a lot, right? This is my first time to Blade Show, and so one, it was so exciting to meet you guys, right? And so, it feels like I know you guys by, all the talk and on and offline discussions we've had, and but getting to meet, you and Eric and Jason and really, the three Joshes, right? It's all those folks and just everybody that you've gotten to talk to online, in person was just a great experience for me. But I have to tell you, my first experience with Blade Show was before we even met, right? And so I'm in the Blade Show room, and I'm going through, and I spent like an hour and a half kind of going through tables and coming up with a plan of how I'm going to attack and see everything. And I decided that I'm going to look through everything once and then go back to places I want to see. And then Chip met up with me, and then he burst my bubble because he said, Mark, have you not been to the big room yet? So at that point, I didn't even, we walked into the other room, and I was couldn't even imagine how much what was in there. So it was definitely mind boggling of in there, and what everybody talks about. It doesn't matter. The best mastersmith in there to the new bladesmith. Everybody that I've talked to was great, and I got a great opportunity to get a class with the Kyle Daly, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so on doing the file work on his knives, and that was an amazing class. Learned a lot. Got his book. I'm excited to. I just got some carbide burrs that I'm gonna be doing a little work with, and I can't wait to this weekend to on our knife build that we're working on. That's going to be the first test. So good or bad, I'm going to be putting some power work on it.
Yes, for sure. One of the surprising things that I saw that, hey, listen, I think Broadbeck makes a beautiful machine. I think that Ameribraid is my brand, makes a beautiful machine. But I had the opportunity to meet Neil Kamamura, but also I had the opportunity to meet Mareko Malmasi at the Ameribraid. And I also saw him over at Broadback later, meeting with those guys. But he was presenting for Ameribraid on this particular show, which gives a lot of testament to the products that they offer. Matter of fact, you know what? I tell you what, while we're talking about it, why don't we just stop and let them tell you a little about their products, because right now through June the 30th, you can put in Templars 100 at checkout and get $100 off on your full package. So Templars 100 at checkout. We'll be right back.
Let's take a moment today to thank one of our sponsors for today's show, and that sponsor is Ameribraid Grinders. Eric and Kevin over at Ameribraid have sold thousands of these grinders, and they are super nice guys, and their customer service is excellent. I would know. I've been personally using their 2x72 grinder now for 2 years, and it has changed my knife making to a whole new level. So if you're in the market for or looking to upgrade from that 1x30 or 2x42, then give Ameribraid a look. There you'll find they have 3 packages of grinders to offer. They have a mastery package, a foundations package, and a get grinding package, in which all of them come at different price points. So I'm sure you'll find something that'll suit your needs as a knife maker. Also, Ameribraid has a ton of innovative attachments for their grinders. So listeners, you can find out about all of this at www.ameribraid.com. Go give them a look, see what they have to offer today. And now, back to the show.
So welcome back, guys. We were talking about Ameribraid and their opportunity and seeing Mareko out there. What was unique to me, Mark, and I know Otis here and Don weren't with us this time, but Josh and Jason were, is that I walked up to Mareko Malmasi, I walked up to Trolsky, I walked up to Neil Kamamura, I walked up to, I did something. I carried a piece of leather that I'm tooling tomorrow that says Blade Show 2023 on it, and it's got all the signatures.
I saw that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So
it's a cool idea.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. Actually, a lot of people thought that was a cool idea. Who do you think was if you had to get one longtime knife maker's name on that piece of leather, who would you go for? Last name starts with an S.
Schwarzer.
Steve Schwarzer.
I walked up and talked to Mr. Schwarzer, and I said, Mr. Schwarzer, I said, can I get your signature on here? I said, and he asked me about it, and I started to. I told him what I was doing, that I put on my wall, and I said, more importantly, just so you know that I will be using this signature. I can scan it to write rebate checks to myself from whatever. And then on number 2 is, if the good Lord takes you, I'm selling this for $5 on Facebook Marketplace. He says all you can get is $3.50. But he signed it. But what was unique, whether it was Kyle Daly, Dennis Tyrell, or so on, everybody was so humble and kind. Nobody had an elitist status amongst themselves, even some of the best knife makers there. So much so, I spit on somebody's knife.
Oh, yeah.
And
I was there when it happened.
You tell the story.
No. This is your story, Chip. All I have to say is that I was standing there and watched it happen, and I was in awe that Chip would spit on this Master Smith's blade.
What?
Hey, I'm
purely out of hatred too.
Well, no, not so much hatred, just out of trying to get some YouTube credit. I'm trying to get a viral video, and if you're talking to Kyle Royer and you're chatting with him, and he reaches down and grabs a cloth and wipes off his dagger that says "Do not touch, sold," and you're looking at it and you're like, "That's $200,000." Realistically, it's probably a $20,000-$30,000 dagger, and he wipes it off, and I said, did I spit on your blade? He says, it's okay. And he just wipes it. He keeps talking. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I was so embarrassed. But then as I went on in the show, what did I do, Mark? I started telling everybody.
Oh yeah, you told everybody you spit on Kyle Roy's blade.
And it got good because it was like I walked up to his booth and I spit on his blade. So, Mr. Royer, I don't think you're listening to this show, but if you are, I am so sorry. And thank you for your graciousness and just passing it off. But also know that I'm kind of tickled to be able to say I spit on Kyle Royer's blade, but I'm also quite embarrassed that I did as well. So, Mark, what did you end up with at the show?
Hold on. When you say spit, were you actually, hawking a loogie, or were you just drooling and just spat on the blade?
It was probably an overpronunciation of a T or a P or a P, and it just and I saw it fly, and I didn't know it hit his knife, but when he looked down, and it was all in like, that old peck and paw stuff from like the old westerns where it's all slow motion, bullets hitting and blood splattering slow motion, and it was like it just kind of trickled out slowly and went on that knife, and I was like, and he reached down and so gracefully did it, and I was just like, oh man. And
that's not the story that I heard.
Well, yeah, the story. Yeah,
I heard that Chip came walking up to one of the nicest guys in knife making, complaining about some knife maker plus content, and decided to show him what he really thought.
I wasn't happy.
Okay.
So if Mr. Royer or any other well-known knife maker comes here, just note that, next year I'll hold my hand in front of my mouth as I talk. But, sometimes it just happens. I used to have a 2-foot beard. I have no beard now. I have nothing to catch that stuff.
Okay, so you had a spit guard in there, huh?
Yeah, I used to wear my spit guard all the time, and now it's just a clean-shaven face. One of these days, I'll get that beard back. I'll get it back for sure. But respect and also apologize for doing that, because I will tell you, every knife in that particular place is precious. It certainly is. Mark Masillo, what did you end up with? You were probably you walked out with a sack of goodies.
I did. I think Eric might have walked out a little bit more than I did because I saw his podcast or his YouTube videos each day. So he kept piling stuff into his Audi. But I was excited. I got a couple things that I was hoping to get. Again, it started off with Kyle Daly's class, so I got that book that he had with the little template card that he
you got the card as well. Cool.
I did. It's really good to give you that progression. So I was excited to get that. I also got, while I was there, I think it was, $30 or something for a set of 3 files, that he had. So I figured I'd pick those up instead of having to order them. So I got those just the right sizes to do all his patterns. I picked up I haven't worked with ironwood before, so I picked up a couple of ironwood
beautiful
blocks
pieces
for handles.
You got as well. Yeah, that's going to look nice.
Yeah, I got some blade oils and protectants. A couple of the who is this by the Wicked Clean and Wicked Wax. Picked up one of those, and then I think something Wolf brand. Tried that out oil. And picked up a little of that. Got a couple of fasteners for handles.
You got you didn't get the Corbies. You got the ones that are inset that you can change out the handles.
Yeah, I wanted to try those.
Yeah,
something that
who did you get those from?
It was like Maker Supplies,
right,
is that the? It was that. You remember, Jason? Is that Maker
Material Supply? Yeah,
Maker. Yeah, Maker
so
Materials.
If Maker Materials happened to be out of them at the time, and you were near Mobile Bay down in South Alabama, and you had a rowboat with you, where would you row that boat to?
Well, I would at least have to row up to see if they had them in stock up to Canada. I would say
to Maritime Knife Supply at maritime.ca.
That's right.
I tell you what, you are probably I can't believe just the fortitude that you have to go up there by boat and order regularly. But we do want our listeners to know that if you go to maritime.ca and Maritime Knife Supply, you can maritimenifesupply.ca, I believe it is. You can get great deals at all times. But why that's so important to mention, not only who you got the fasteners from there, and we have Pop's Knife Supplies, those guys work together. If they don't have something, they point people in other directions, and that was so nice. So as we move forward, I'm actually going to try and pick up some of these folks as honorable mentions or certainly people that support our podcast as well. So anyway, I cut you off because I knew you were itching to talk about your boat ride to Maritime, but go right ahead.
Yeah. And really, I guess the three last things, and those are my most exciting things that I got was, one, we've been talking about it a lot tonight. I got, Jason's book with the signature on there, which I don't know if it decreased the value a little bit, but at least it's the same.
What did he write in your book?
Let's see. He's like, don't hang out with Chip, Mark.
See, a book full of good advice.
Hey, it is. That's
number 384, 385.
That's right. Mark, stay sharp, and Jason Fry.
Stay sharp. Stay
great.
Sharp.
Yep.
Did you tell him you're already sharp?
Yep. No, I didn't say that. Because, but so really to finish it, so I got the book. I got from AmeriBraid, went and picked myself up one of the AmeriBraid sharpening attachments for their grinder that I have. So I'm super excited I haven't hooked it up yet.
Your
This weekend.
good friend Chip sent you what?
Set me what?
What did your good friend Chip send you tonight?
What did you send me?
The dang instructions for that thing.
Oh, you did? No, just before here. I just opened it up before the podcast. So, So they didn't have an instruction sheet with it. So he sent me.
You got a show tool. So it was unboxed. Right. So they gave you a nice deal on it. But so I just sent you the instructions. But also,
and I got a nice shirt. Right? Yeah. We got nice shirts from them.
We did. And,
with the missing fingerprints. And then here's the my favorite takeaway from the show is this. This fully forged handle blade from the Eric Rivers.
Just so you know that mine's nicer than yours, Mark. and that is so cool that you mentioned that because I knew that was coming and I was waiting for it and it wasn't happening. I was like, maybe he's changed his mind. And of course I'm joking, but when Eric presented me with that knife and it had that TRE or his maker's mark on it, and I knew I'd watched the video of him making that knife. I mean, I always talk in terms of things that touch my heart, and I don't mean to get all sappy about that, but it was just like one of those things I will cherish forever. Last year, Otis here gave me one of his beautiful knives, and I'm waiting for number 2. But matter of fact, I may buy one of your knives, Otis here, and it doesn't have to be the one you just finished forging, because you made a beautiful forged knife. But I may buy another one of your knives because they're so gorgeous. But man, those are the things that you get that you just can't replace. Jason Fry, I don't know why, but didn't send me back with his Forged in Fire piece, but it's okay. It's okay. I understand.
I did. I had my Forged in Fire final weapon on my table, and people sometimes ask, is that for sale? And I actually started saying, no, it's definitely not. I'm going to be like 90 years old in a nursing home sitting in a recliner saying, hey, bring me my spear out of the closet. I'm keeping that, dang it. That's the only thing I got from the show.
Well, it was interesting because while you were teaching your class, I was, tending your table with Mark, and this gentleman walked up and supposedly, I guess he had some type of martial arts. I assume it's martial arts background, and all of a sudden he's wanting to show us how to use this weapon of war, and he didn't kick it or do anything that would harm it because I was being very careful. But before I could get away, he had it, and he was showing how you sling it with your arm, how you kick it with your foot, and how you kill elephants and wildebeest and everything else. And I was just like, I was nervous for this because I wasn't in control, and I was nervous that he may turn it on me. He was very good. If you ever want to sell those, he needs to be your video guy that shows how it's used. But it was actually kind of cool to see how the weapon would be used.
He was nicer to it than Doug was, and Jay, and So
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm not too worried about that guy.
Well, if you had walked back and I'm like, the dude broke your thing, I'm sorry. I would have lied. I said,
I would have been really, really surprised. That thing's pretty
oh
stout.
no, it is very solid. But I would have said like, Mark broke your thing, and then I would have just backed out.
Right.
Jason, what was big at the show for you, man?
Yeah, so perspective, I think, was one of the things I brought home. So, I've done knife shows. This is my third Blade Atlanta. I've done Blade Texas a couple of times. And somebody described it as trying to sell sand at the beach. And I thought about that a second. Like, holy crap, like there's 5 bajillion knives in this room. Like, what do you do to stand out? Like, why would they come to my table, right, and buy this knife? And again, not to talk the show down, it's a great opportunity, but for me, the bigger deals were not done from the table. They were done through the relationships. So not just hanging out with Chip, but I've got a deal going on with one of the manufacturers. They've been making one of my designs for a little while. And
what's the name of the company again?
White River Knife and Tool.
Yes.
Out of Fremont, Michigan.
But let me interrupt you. I saw some of the production knives. Guys, these were gorgeous. If you can get your hand on one of Fry's, if you get on his handmade knives, perfect. But if you want one of the production knives, they are flawless. They are
gorgeous. White River does very, very good work. But they were we were talking about what the future looks like on that deal, and I think they're going to end up making a couple more of my designs before things are all done. And so, again, perspective, right? If you think about it as I've made all these knives, I got to go to Atlanta and I got to sell all these knives and make my table feedback, or else I'm going to go broke. Right? If you think about it that way, you'll leave grumpy. If you think about it like a trade show, though, where you're really there to do all the business, you're there to meet the people and shake the hands and kiss the babies. Don't shake the babies. Shake the hands and kiss the babies. Yeah. And do the deals, right? So the White River thing, again, these are people I've worked with for almost 2 years now, but it took us 3 nights of kind of work in the pit after hours to kind of figure it out. Right. And then we close the deal. So again, perspective, right? Man, I love to take a bunch of stuff and sell the heck out of it. But this particular blade show was different than that. So,
well, the Fred Bear knife you and I were talking earlier today, and you didn't sell it at the show, and I saw so many people pick it up, and it may have been out of some people's price range at that show, even though there were a lot of expensive knives. You sold that today, and I don't know if it's connected to the show or not, but.
Really? No, it's not. But I've said, I think it was one of the tips I sent before. You've got to have something big and crazy on your table, right? Because if you're going to be selling sand at the beach, you got to have that one that's big and outlandish or something, right? And I had that Fred Bear theme piece and didn't sell it at the show, but I did sell it today. So.
Jason, there is a poltergeist or something over your shoulder.
Yes, it's one of my small junior Sasquatches.
Handsome young man.
This is Mr. Carter. Yeah, so I've got 6-year-old twins to go with my Marine and my guy going to the Air Force Academy.
Tell Mr. Carter to wave for the fans.
Hey, Carter, you want to wave at the camera, buddy? Nope, non-compliant.
And nobody
just
will
like
see.
His,
And nobody
just like
will
his
see.
dad.
But Jason's got a couple great twins.
So the other good thing I got from Blade Show was stuff, right? Just like Mark, I try to go around and support a little bit of everybody, right? So I bought some stuff from Pops. I bought some stuff from Jantz. They're one of the better sources of powdered steel, like for making canister stuff. I found mammoth ivory on sale, which is that never ever happens. Right?
Did you know if you were in, I think, Oregon this week, you could find a tooth washed up on the beach? I saw on the news.
Oh yeah, interesting.
Yeah, a full, huge tooth. I mean, the size of a football washed up on the beach.
Mammoth tooth, yeah.
And it made the news, and I'm like, that's not news. There were 6,000 pieces in Atlanta.
Right. So yeah, one of the Charles Turnage is one of the reputable mammoth ivory dealers. He's from Texas. I've run into him a bunch of times over the years, but he pulled out a clearance box, and I spent way too much money on underpriced mammoth ivory.
Jason,
And
how
again,
much?
you can't
How
get
much
that from the
mammoth?
house.
How much mammoth is out there? I mean, it's got to be a finite amount.
Yeah, I mean, they're not making any more mammoths, even though every single time I walk by Charles's table, I tell him his mammoth farm looks like it's doing pretty good.
Right.
But no, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a finite resource. Honestly, right now, a little like oil, the problem is getting it, right? There's as much as there is, and it is finite, but we really haven't tapped it. I mean, it's still out there. Getting it from, buried in the permafrost to cut into scales at a knife show is the hard part. So COVID put a curveball in the ivory market because honestly, governments are giving away money, so you're not as inclined to go dig up mammoths and try to sell them, right? There was some supply side stuff in the ivory market. Again, kind of weird, but
Did anybody invest in any walrus pinto this year?
I did not buy that. I have bought that at Blade Show before. I did not buy that this time, however.
Gotcha. Josh, did you buy any walrus pinto, or what were your big purchases this year at Blade Show?
Well, I got a Nordic Edge bevel guide, or bevel.
Very nice.
So I've been freehanding all my stuff and just wanted to try to up my consistency game, and I've used their file guide and I've got their knife vise, and they make awesome stuff. So I went over and grabbed one of those. It works with the file guide. I got a waterfall platen from Broadbeck, and kind of get the plunge lines all sorted, and I've got some fun ideas for integral stuff that I want to do, and a couple of stabilized scales and some micarta scales that'll be pretty neat to play with. I did not get to go over and see all the cool mammoth teeth and all that stuff, but while I was there, somebody did contact me about some mammoth teeth, so I may be playing the mammoth game here soon.
Very good, very good. I know Josh Howard's got a big mammoth tooth right now too that he came into contact with. I hope to get. Are you going to be at the? Yes, are you going to be at the Alabama Custom Knife Makers Guild meeting on the 17th?
Yes, sir. And I am also bringing another Nordic Edge bevel jig that will be put in the iron in the hat. So make sure you buy tickets because this thing's pretty slick.
Yeah, let's make sure we recognize them for that as well. I tell you guys, we are running about the 2-hour mark, and we like to give our folks a few days of listening unless they are they just want to get the whole thing at one time. But I do want to add on here, guys, we got 51 weeks for Blade Show. I'm excited to let you know that we have voted that next year the Knives Templars are going to get a booth, and we are going to run a broadcast out of Blade Show for 3 days. We are also going to, within the rules of Blade Show, we'll see what we can do as far as selling some of our blades as the Knives Templars in those particular areas. Again, Blade Show has rules, so we want to make sure we are in compliance with those. But at a minimum, our Knives Templars team will be there, and we're going to see if we can't drag Don and Odysseer and Joey down as well. And we'll see when we get there and get in front of the mic and also interact with all of you knife makers, man. That's what makes this all worth it. So before I sign off here, I want to let you know a couple things for Blade Show with me. I mentioned the people I met, and that's just a small list. I mean, the Tyrells, the Trolskys, and the list goes on. I've mentioned the guys on here, but some other folks. Alpha Tango Lima. This is Mr. Love out of the Atlanta, Georgia area, makes beautiful knives. I believe he was over there next to Mr. Josh Ferran. His daughter, Michaela, has worked for Pop's Knife Supplies. They're well engaged in the knife making community. Go out and see Alpha Tango Lima. ATL, that's Atlanta. Go out and see them on the web and take a look at his beautiful knives. Met the most wonderful, wonderful gentleman. G2K Knife Works, Mr. Glenn Kalinge. He is out of Winterville, Georgia, and you can find his knives on Instagram at G2 Knife Works. And I was so tickled to death. Gentleman walks up, introduced himself. Man, we got recognized so many times. Otis, here, you would have thought we were celebrity walking around this year. Mark, tell them what the favorite shirt was this year that people saw.
You know, the favorite shirt was on Sunday. I wore the I identify as a knife maker, and my pronouns are it will cut. And I don't know how many times I was asked about, are we selling that shirt?
I don't know what the news story will be next year, but we're going to find something because we'll pay for our show with T-shirts. But Mr. Kalinch gifted me some blueberry pie jelly, and it was so delicious. And he's such a good Christian man. I wanted to make sure we reached out to him, and he's on Facebook, and I mentioned his Instagram as well. Mr. Will Freeman, industrial design student and bladesmith. You can see him out Freeman at Instagram at Will Freeman Design, and he's on Instagram. Take a look at him. I've also got CK Knives, and Mr. Chris Pendergraph told me the most beautiful story, and it's one that we hear so many times, how my art gives me such peace in my life. And he had a story that he told me about just the peace that knife making brings that I could relate to as well. You can find him at www.ckknives or at cknives.us and check out Mr. Pendergraph's knives.
You know who else I got to meet in person I thought was great?
Who's that?
But I did not recognize him at first glance because he was different than all the other times I've seen him on the podcast. Was Mr. Luke Berry.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Business Haircut.
Yeah, he got a haircut. And so didn't even know who it was. I was like, I know who you are.
Yes.
So it was great meeting him in person, too.
It was wonderful to see him. And at Barry Blade Works, you can find him. And he's going to come back on. He looks like he may have some time to chat back in the show occasionally. As far as coming on as a full-time Templar, we'll have to wait till there's an opening because we can only have so many people in. But right now we are full with the addition of Mr. Fry. But he's welcome to come on as a guest at any time. We love Luke Berry, and to mention the 4 owners of Pop's Knife Supply as well. I met a great 23-year-old man who's making knives full-time. And it's Watchman Knife and Tool, WACHTMAN Knife and Tool.
Yeah.
And you can find him on Instagram at Watchman Knife and Tool, and you can find him at WatchmanKnifeandTool.com, just as I spelled it. This man is 20 years beyond his age in the quality of his knives and his business sense. Such a wonderful individual.
He's got a lot of energy.
Oh, it was beautiful. I also want to mention who we talked about before, Maker Material Supply, where you came across your fasteners. Jason, is that where you got the handle sample material?
That's the ones where I got the UV glow stuff. I had a couple of knives on my table that were crazy bright stuff. That came from Maker.
Matter of fact, you got some crazy bright stuff. If you want to share that, I'll pay for it sometime. I'd love to try it out. But they are out of Granbury, Texas, and you can find them at makermaterialsupply.com, Maker Material Supply. We have Phoenix Abrasives and our buddy Sean Ryan over there out of Brighton, Minnesota. Phoenix with the Templars 10 discount. You can get all of your abrasive needs there. Those guys are just wonderful. They sat over next to Kyle Daly, who was also uses their abrasives. Great products, great people. Be sure and check out Phoenix Abrasives. I have to mention Mr. Dennis Tyrell, who friended me on Facebook finally. And
you're in.
And I will tell you, he's getting ready to work on a project, and I'll talk briefly about it. Hopefully, I don't do it injustice. They know of somebody a soldier who came home from the Navy, very young man, and took his life. Mr. Tyrell's got a son that's in the Navy, and of course, certainly touched by this. And they're working on a project right now where they are collectively going to be making a blade with the proceeds going to, I believe it is the family. I hope I'm not wrong there. But I got to see into the heart of a knife maker. You see the things that he, like Jason Fry and Dennis Tyrell and Kyle Royer and all these great makers out there are making. I just want to make sure I mention that man's heart and what a good guy he is. Kyle Daly Custom Knives. Don't forget that. What about Mr. Dan Goodnight, Dan Easterling with Dogwood Custom Knives? He was just a pleasure to meet at the show. I am almost done. I took my best of the best. Got our guys over to Marabraid, Eric and Kevin, offering the Templars 100 discount. I met a buddy of mine, new buddy, with Gen Ken Kilns. They make a vertical kiln, and it's a beautiful, reasonably priced kiln. They're out of Lakeland, Florida, and you can find them at genkenkilns.com. That's JenKenKilns.com. And take a look at their vertical kilns. They're beautiful products. I actually plan on getting one in the future. So my honorable mention, Mr. Kyle Royer. And you can find Kyle Royer at KyleRoyerKnives.com. And the man makes some of the most beautiful knives in the world, makes it look so easy. And if you spit on his knives, he'll graciously say nothing, clean them off, and probably cuss under his breath. I'm so sorry about that. But guys, if you can afford them, or even you just want to see museum pieces, go out and see Kyle Royer Knives. What a maker. Master Bladesmith. With that, we are well over 2 hours into this, so this is the point in the show that we are going to say hasta la good night. So I'll leave it up to you guys. Say good night, guys.
Good night, guys.
Good night. Good night, guys.
Adios. Good night, y'all. Good night, guys.
Josh, there he is.
Good
Hey,
night,
and
y'all.
you know what? There he is again. One more time, Josh. Three's a charm.
What's my line?
Josh. You should say boca cerrada no entra moscas.
Oh, well.
No habla español, comprende, señor.
Can you do that, Josh? No. Boca cerrada. Can you help him out? Can you help him out of this here?
Yeah, I'll stay out of this one.
Close your mouth. You won't get flies in it. Hey.
I caught the flies. That was my hesitation. Yeah.
Y'all have a blessed night. Good night from the Knives Templars. We'll see you on the next show. Hey, get ready and go to Blade Show next year. Good night.
Yep.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
All right. The after party, the Blade Show after party. I'm glad to see everybody's got their tuxes on. Man, we could have talked about Blade Show for about 10 more hours, could we not?
Definitely.
You could.
Yeah, just trying.
I got, talking about after, somebody handed me a coaster that said, I survived the pit at Blade Show.
Oh, man.
And on the way out. And it was, hey, it's great.
I survived it, and I kept everything in control. I had a couple beers bought for me, and most of the time I was drinking a Mountain Dew or water. I had somebody order me a water from the bar, and it was some seltzer something or other. It was the worst tasting water, expensive water I've ever had, so I drank it. But I had something, as you alluded to earlier, Mark, something tasted like blueberries, and it was smooth.
It was. I was waiting for it to be turpentine and burn my innards.
Yeah.
But I had that, and I was like, that could be dangerous if I had a whole mug of
I
it.
could have drank a whole mug of that because Josh is going to kick in here in a second, buddy. You drank it, and about 30 seconds later, you felt this slight warmth in your belly, and it slowly rose up, and you felt it hit your shoulders and your ears, and the next thing you know, it was like, yippee-ki-yay, cow patty.
No burn whatsoever.
What'd you think about that,
Nothing.
Josh?
It was
Yeah,
as
no
smooth as
burn.
It gets. It was awesome.
Well, give us the distiller's brew review here, Josh. What'd you think about that blueberry?
Well, man, I tell you what, you took a sip of that, it tasted like blueberries. Is that in depth enough for you?
It sure did. No alcohol at all. It was perfect. But I heard, and I'm not going to mention Wesley Crumb's name, but I hear that he was escorted back to his hotel room that night after the blueberry and whatever else.
I think he got a ride on a luggage cart there for a little bit. Rumors says that they could hear the woos back in his hometown.
I'm not going to say that Josh Howard didn't have to call his wife and ask what room and hotel he was in. So,
That was fun.
oh man, this is pit talk here. This is fun. Go ahead.
He was a good sport about everything too. He had a great time, and the next day maybe not so much, but it was all made better when he took a knife to the critique that Blade Show held, and pretty much got you're doing good. You know, you can fix these couple little things, but you're making good knives. And so it kind of made the next day a little easier to handle for him.
Well, that's wonderful because I was sober when I looked at Jason Fry and he said 10% more. And I was like, could I submit this as one of my guild knives? And he's like, nope. But Wesley makes some beautiful knives. And just for the record, so I'm not the pot calling, I am the pot calling the kettle black in college. I was the social chair in my fraternity one semester, and I was swinging from the rafters in the bar and got with a milk jug of whatever swill in my hand out of the keg, got hit in the forehead with a ceiling fan, and then I don't remember the rest of it, but supposedly I was taken to the dorms in the back of a pickup truck in a monsoon, didn't drown, and went up on a college luggage cart to my room. So, Wesley, we're brothers from different mothers. Trust me, we've all been there. We've all been there. So. Jason, what you got going on next week or so?
I'm just trying to recover. It's been raining out here in Texas more than usual. So my grass is really tall because I was out of town. Like I say, coming off of this cold, you go to these things and like I said, kind of like y'all talk about, I don't drink much, but I had a little and then you don't sleep and you drive a long way. And I told my wife, I'm not going to make a knife this weekend. I may not make a knife again for a minute. And she kind of looked at me funny. It's like, no, for real, I'm coming back, but it's going to be a minute. I've been busting it since October, really, with back-to-back shows. So I'm kind of looking forward to a little vacation.
What was that restaurant that we ate at? You got to eat at table number 32 there.
Oh, Hop Dottie.
Yeah,
I think is what it was called.
Yeah, if you're over by the Cobb Center in Atlanta, go to Hop Dottie or whatever it's called. It's next to Santa Fe. Sit at table 32 because you get everybody's food in the restaurant delivered to you.
Yeah, they get confused and you occasionally get free beer. So
we got free beers, and we could have got 27 different plates of food that they kept bringing to us. So it was pretty exciting. It was. Josh, what do you got going on?
One of our Blade Show staples. Yeah, one of our Blade Show staples is the juicy crab. If you like crawfish boil or whatever, I mean, it is fantastic. Oh, we end up going there like at least twice during the show, and if you have time and you want to step out and get yourself some juicy crab, it's pretty awesome. And then tomorrow morning I'm going to Pepper Place Market in Birmingham, and I'm doing a knife forging demo that I only have 20 minutes for. So it's gonna be exciting.
Where's it at?
It's a Pepper Place Market in downtown Birmingham.
What time is it?
It's from 9 o'clock to 9:30.
Okay. All right. I'll see if I can't make that. Go ahead, Jason.
Hey, I will throw in, now that you mention it, we are having a Texas Knife Makers Guild hammer in the 16th and 17th in Abilene, Texas. That's a Friday and a Saturday, 2-day enterprise.
That's depressing because, that's where I just left is Abilene, when I was stationed out at
Dias.
Oh,
man, yeah, I lived there for 15 years. Yeah. It's a good place.
Yeah.
But, so we've got a Texas Knife Makers Guild event there. Look up our Facebook group, which is remarkably called Texas Knife Makers Guild. There you go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Information on that one.
Hey, guys, let's not forget Brian Housework and Housemaid. They came up with that two ribbon burner forge. I saw them producing this week online, and I had the opportunity to speak with him as well. And he is a phenomenal, innovative knife maker, as well as in the knife making community with all his equipment as well. So I don't make sure we don't overlook him.
Yeah.
Otis here. You making knives this week? So everybody knows. I don't think we talked about it. You took a piece of unknown microfractured steel spring, and you turned it into one of the most beautiful knives this week.
Yeah.
How are you going to top that the coming week?
Yeah.
I'll try to make another.
You can find that on the Knives Templar podcast or the TRE group as well. But beautiful knife, Odisir. You're going to be working on a new one this week?
Well, next step, I gotta do some leather work, sheath, right? And then try to make another, get better at it. This is only my second successfully forged knife.
Well, you did pretty good for number 2.
All freehand, and the grinds afterwards, all freehand. So that's a plus. My next step, I will need to get with Mr. Fry and get some pointers on a hand beaten canister Damascus, because I don't have a press. So that's gonna be my next step.
That's a steep uphill climb right there, buddy.
Hey man,
but it's worth a try.
What it is. I mean, I was looking at some videos, and people say, okay, you can start with
doable
with the inch square tubing, so it's not too big. So
correct.
Go from there. So making a cheap size knives from there.
Oh yeah.
I got plenty of ball bearings from the shop, so I don't have to buy those. But what would you say is better, 1095 powder steel or 1084?
I'm a fan of 1084 over 1095 usually, but honestly, on the powder, depends on what you're mixing it with. Like I like the 1095 powder when I'm mixing it with weird historical stuff like nails, because I want the extra carbon. But
okay, but
either way, what do you think, Josh?
Ball bearings or something like that, they'll etch dark. The ball bearings will etch dark, and if you want, you can get I think Jant's.
Yeah, get the 15 and 20 powder.
But, they do a 2% and the 4% nickel. It's essentially 1080 with it's 1080 powder with 2% nickel added or 4%. I found that the 2% is kind of more of like a speckle of shiny, whereas like the 4% looks more like a solid homogeneous shiny to it. So I've done some stuff with the 2% and I've done some stuff with the 4%. And if you really want to play with it, you can, if you do any sort of like 3D printed stuff, which I'm about to try probably sometime this next week. But yeah, you can mix the 2% in one area and then the 4% in another, and you get that slight difference in color.
Yep.
And then have like a 1080 and a 1095 to get all those different, because I think the 1095, correct me if I'm wrong, comes out just a little bit more gray than the 1080 powder does.
I think so. I've not used them both in the same billet. Yeah.
So that's the plan. I just don't know which one would be a better option, because I looked at Gents and they have 1095, 1084. I think they have 15 and 20, and those other two that you just mentioned there.
So I said
I just
15
don't know
and
where
20,
to go.
the 1080 plus nickel. Yeah, with ball bearings, and one of the nickel ones I think would be the most interesting.
15 and 20, maybe ish.
Well, like I said 15 and 20, but it's really the 1080 plus nickel.
Yeah, 15 and 20
basically
is just like 1080 with 2% nickel. So the powder steel, if you get it, the 1080 with the 2% is to simulate the 15 and 20, but the 4% gives you a shinier nickel finish than the 2%.
Yep, spot on.
Cool. All right, guys, thank you. So that's what's in the menu for me. So we'll see.
Excellent. I always enjoy seeing what's coming out of your shop, Otis here. Hey, let me get this real quick just to make sure. Mark, do you have one of those carbide hammers?
I do not.
Jason, you got one, or do you want one?
No, I've got one.
You got one. Josh, you want one. Otis here, do you have one?
No, I do not.
Would you like one?
Of course.
Okay. Don, do you have one?
Yes, I do. I have
All
one.
right.
Thank you.
So Josh Howard, Josh Ferran, Mark, and Otis Sear, and I've made one for Eric. So yeah, just writing down my list here. So yeah, I'll
appreciate it.
And I was going to do those in a 16 ounce because you can kind of go tappy tap or you can hit him hard with that. It just seemed like an all around decent weight.
Mine's built on like a 2.5 or 3 ounce hammer. It's a
Yeah,
tiny
that's
little
what mine
hammer.
is.
So you get lots and lots and lots of taps, but less risk of breaking stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I could actually make them with the little finishing hammers, which are smaller hammers, which I did one like that and did one of the others. So, Otis here, guys, would you rather have a ball peen or would you rather have one of the little finishing hammers?
No, I like the finishing hammer.
Okay.
Yeah, for that type of work, I think
It doesn't take a lot of
whatever,
weight.
man.
It's just really the force.
I'll be grateful.
Yeah, it's just the force that you're hitting with. Josh, you let me know which one you would prefer.
For that type of work, I think lighter is better.
Yeah.
Just like Jason just
4
said.
ounces,
I mean, you really don't want to whack it. You just go go
tap, tappy, tap. Who was that? Was it Adam Sandler in the movie? Tippy tappy.
Tap it in.
Yeah.
Tap it in.
So, hey, let's not forget to point out Dustin O'Hara and the Art of Craftsmanship. He and his brother Devin were at the show. Wonderful, wonderful people. Be sure and check Art of Craftsmanship on YouTube, as well as check out their their Facebook and their website, artofcraftsmanship.com. Talk about hammers and show guests, guys. For the future, you guys, we've got such a who's who of show guests coming up. I was really humbled by the caliber of people, not that you guys haven't already been on there because your help that gave us that credibility, but humbled by the Houseworks and the Trollskis and the Tyrells and just everybody that said that they would love to be on the show in the future. So we are certainly looking forward to that. With all that being said, we're coming down to the end here, and I always hate ending these things, but, hey, we all got to get some sleep. If you have any questions or comments, product reviews, shows, or guest ideas, please subscribe to our show on one of your podcast servers, but also you can email us at the knivestemplars@yahoo.com or DM us on Facebook at the Knives Templars Podcast Group. Join us on the Knives Templars Podcast Group on Facebook. We'd love to chat with you. Chatting's what it's all about. Visit us at knivestemplars.com to stay up to date and see our latest pictures from Blade Show. Our episode is sponsored by the Rivers Experience, Last Blade Standing, and we're waiting for a new season to come out there. Knifewood.com. Check out some of Oleg's beautiful stabilized wood products. Ameribraid and the Templars 100 discount for savings off of a machine package. Majestic Forge. Jump in a boat and ride up there and see if you can't beat our buddy Mark, or either jump in the boat with him and go up there and buy some of their great products. Byford's Guns out of Hartselle, Alabama. It's where I buy my firearms, and they're just great, great people. Pop's Knife Supplies. What would we do without Pop's? What a great thing. And we saw Pop's widow was at the show this year. First time she had been there, and Mr. Barry was walking her around. And it was such a beautiful thing. As I also want to mention Phoenix Abrasives and Templars 10 for a 10% discount. You can find us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Anchor, Amazon, and CastBox in over 30 countries now. Resources, of course, are the TRE Workshop on Facebook and the Knives Templars podcast on Facebook. I'll tell you one more time, Knives Templars at Yahoo with any suggestions, comments, insults, compliments, or whatever. We'd love to have you there. With all that being said, we are so blessed to have this team of people together here and adding to the craft of knife making and all that it brings to our lives. In many ways, it enriches us. So we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Knives Templars. With all that being said, guys, let's say good night one more time. We'll see you later.
Hasta la vista.
Good night.
Hey, good night, everyone.
Good night, y'all.
Brought to you by Porkhouse Productions. Oinky oinky oinky.